In a peaceful meadow, where wildflowers swayed softly in the evening breeze, there lived a wise old turtle named Theodore and a gentle rabbit named Luna. Theodore loved to take slow, peaceful walks through the meadow, feeling the soft grass beneath his feet, while Luna enjoyed finding cozy spots to rest among the sweet-smelling flowers. One quiet evening, as golden sunlight painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, Theodore discovered an old, weathered map floating on a gentle breeze. The map showed a path through their familiar meadow, leading to what it called nature's treasure. Luna hopped over curiously, her movements as gentle as falling leaves. "Shall we follow the map together, dear friend?" Theodore asked in his soft, unhurried voice. Luna nodded with a peaceful smile, and so began their gentle adventure. They agreed to walk together, sharing the journey at a comfortable pace that suited them both. The first part of their path led through a field of dandelions, their fluffy white seeds drifting lazily through the air like tiny floating stars. Theodore and Luna paused often to admire the beauty around them, watching as butterflies danced from flower to flower, their wings catching the warm evening light. As they walked, Theodore would count their steps in a soothing rhythm. 1, 2, 3, gentle and slow. 4, 5, 6, the perfect way to go. Luna found herself swaying to the peaceful rhythm of Theodore's counting, feeling more relaxed with each step they took. The path then guided them into a quiet forest, where tall trees created a canopy of softly rustling leaves overhead. Patches of moonlight filtered through the branches, creating pools of silver light on the forest floor. The air was filled with the gentle sound of crickets beginning their evening song. "Listen to the forest lullaby," whispered Luna, her long ears swaying gently in the cool evening breeze. Theodore smiled, taking in the peaceful symphony of nature around them. They passed by sleeping flowers that were closing their petals for the night and saw stars beginning to twinkle through the leaves above. Following the map, they came to a small stream where water trickled over smooth stones, creating a melody that seemed to sing them to sleep. They paused here to rest, watching the water's gentle dance in the moonlight. Theodore showed Luna how to breathe slowly and deeply, just like the rhythm of the flowing stream. As they continued their journey, they found themselves walking through a grove of lavender, its sweet scent filling the air with drowsy contentment. Fireflies began to appear, their soft lights blinking like tiny lanterns guiding their way. Luna and Theodore took turns counting the fireflies, their numbers becoming jumbled as they felt more and more relaxed. The map led them to the top of a small, grassy hill, where they could see the entire meadow bathed in moonlight. "Look," Theodore said softly, pointing to something gleaming in the grass. There, nestled among the flowers, was a crystal that captured the moonlight and scattered it in rainbow colors. But as they gazed at the crystal, they realized something wonderful. The true treasure wasn't the crystal itself, but the peaceful journey they had shared. The quiet moments of friendship, the gentle discoveries, and the soothing sounds of nature had been the real gift all along. Luna curled up next to Theodore, feeling safe and content. "Sometimes the slowest journeys bring the sweetest dreams," she murmured sleepily. Theodore nodded, his eyes growing heavy as he watched the stars twinkle above. Together, they decided to make this hilltop their special place. Every evening, they would return to watch the sunset and count the stars as they appeared, one by one, in the velvet sky. Sometimes they would remember their gentle treasure hunt, but mostly they would simply enjoy the peace of being together. As the moon rose higher in the sky, casting its soft silver light over the meadow, Theodore and Luna felt their eyes growing heavier. The evening breeze sang a quiet lullaby through the grass, and the fireflies danced their slow, peaceful dance around them. The two friends found that the greatest treasure of all was the peaceful feeling in their hearts, knowing they had each other to share quiet evenings with. As they drifted off to sleep on their hilltop under a blanket of stars, they knew that sometimes the most precious things couldn't be found on any map. They were the gentle moments shared between true friends. And so, Theodore and Luna slept peacefully on their hilltop, surrounded by the soft sounds of the night, while the moon watched over them with its gentle silver smile. The crystal beside them caught the starlight and scattered tiny rainbows around them, like sweet dreams taking flight on silent wings. In a peaceful forest pond, where silver moonlight danced on gentle ripples, there lived two unlikely friends, a small green turtle named Timothy and a soft gray rabbit called Luna. Every evening they would meet by the water's edge, where water lilies swayed softly in the breeze and crickets sang their sweet lullabies. Timothy loved floating in the cool, clear water, letting the gentle current rock him back and forth like a cradle. Luna, with her fluffy fur and twitching nose, preferred sitting on the mossy bank, dipping just her paws in the refreshing pool, while watching the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. One peaceful evening, as the sun was setting and painting the clouds in soft shades of pink and purple, Luna watched Timothy gliding through the water with such grace. The rabbit felt a gentle stirring of curiosity in her heart. "Timothy," she whispered, not wanting to disturb the evening's tranquility, "would you teach me to swim like you do?" Timothy smiled warmly at his friend, his eyes twinkling like the first evening stars. "Of course, dear Luna. The water is so peaceful at night, and I would love to share its gentle embrace with you." He slowly paddled to the edge where Luna sat, creating tiny ripples that spread out in perfect circles across the moonlit surface. Together, they began with simple floating exercises in the shallow water. Timothy showed Luna how to let the water support her, just as the soft grass supported her when she rested in the meadow. "Feel the water holding you," Timothy would say softly, "just like a cozy blanket wrapped around you on a cool evening." Night after night, Luna learned to trust the water more and more. She discovered that when she moved slowly and calmly, like the gentle evening breeze, the water became her friend. Timothy stayed close by, his presence as reassuring as the constant stars above them. As Luna grew more confident, she suggested something that made Timothy smile. "Shall we have a special kind of race?" she asked. "Not to see who's fastest, but to see who can swim the most peacefully across the pond." Timothy thought this was a wonderful idea, for he knew that sometimes the most beautiful journeys are the ones taken slowly. On the night of their peaceful race, the moon was full and round, casting a silver pathway across the water. Fireflies hovered above the surface like tiny floating stars, and the evening flowers released their sweet, sleepy fragrance into the air. "Remember," Timothy said gently, "this is not about being first. It's about finding your own peaceful rhythm." Luna nodded, her eyes soft with understanding. Together, they slipped into the cool water, creating barely a ripple as they began their tranquil journey across the pond. Luna moved her paws slowly through the water, remembering all that Timothy had taught her about staying calm and relaxed. Timothy swam beside her, his steady presence like a floating leaf in a gentle stream. They moved together through the quiet water, watching the moonlight play on the surface and listening to the soft symphony of evening sounds. As they swam, they noticed beautiful things they had never seen before. Water lilies that seemed to glow in the moonlight, tiny silver fish that danced beneath them, and the way the stars reflected in the still parts of the pond, creating a mirror of the night sky below. Neither Luna nor Timothy thought about who was ahead or behind. Instead, they focused on the peaceful feeling of floating through the cool water, of being carried by its gentle embrace. They took time to float on their backs and gaze at the stars, letting the water rock them gently like a mother's arms. When they finally reached the other side of the pond, they couldn't remember who had arrived first, and it didn't matter at all. They sat together on a soft patch of moss, Luna's fur dripping little diamonds of water, Timothy's shell gleaming in the moonlight. "Thank you for teaching me," Luna whispered, her eyes growing heavy with peaceful tiredness. "I never knew that moving slowly could feel so wonderful." Timothy nodded, feeling just as sleepy and content. "Sometimes," he murmured, "the most beautiful moments come when we take time to simply float along with life's gentle current." As the night grew deeper and the stars twinkled more brightly, Luna and Timothy rested side by side, listening to the lullaby of the evening pond. The crickets sang softly, the breeze whispered through the reeds, and somewhere in the distance, an owl cooed a gentle goodnight song. From that night on, Luna and Timothy often swam together in the moonlit pond, never racing, but always sharing in the peaceful joy of moving through the cool, clear water at their own perfect pace. And as they floated beneath the starry sky, they knew they had discovered something more precious than any race could offer: the gift of finding peace in life's gentle moments. As the moon continued its journey across the night sky, the pond grew ever more still, and the two friends drifted into peaceful dreams, carried by the memory of their tranquil swim. And so, like the quiet pond reflecting the stars above, their hearts reflected the peaceful beauty of taking life slowly, one gentle stroke at a time. In a peaceful meadow, where soft grass swayed in the evening breeze, there lived two very different friends, a tortoise named Theodore and a hare named Henry. Theodore loved taking slow, peaceful walks as the sun began to set, while Henry usually preferred to hop and skip through his days. But on this particular evening, something wonderful was about to happen. The air was warm and sweet with the scent of wildflowers, and fluffy clouds drifted lazily across the sky like cotton balls floating in a sea of soft blue. Theodore was just beginning his evening walk when he spotted Henry sitting quietly under an old oak tree, looking thoughtful. "Good evening, Henry," Theodore said in his gentle voice. "Would you like to join me for a peaceful walk? The evening is so beautiful." Henry looked up at his friend with a soft smile, and for the first time, he didn't feel the urge to rush around. "I would love that, Theodore," Henry replied softly. "I've been thinking that maybe it would be nice to slow down and notice all the lovely things around us." Theodore's eyes crinkled with joy as Henry hopped over to join him. Together, they began their walk along a winding path through the meadow. Theodore showed Henry how to pause and notice the little wonders they passed. They watched as butterflies danced among the flowers, their wings painted in gentle shades of purple and blue. The friends stopped to admire how the evening light made the dewdrops sparkle like tiny stars on the grass. As they walked, Theodore and Henry discovered that moving slowly allowed them to see so many beautiful things they had never noticed before. They saw a family of mice making their cozy nest with soft pieces of grass and downy feathers. They watched as a gentle breeze made the flowers bow and sway in a peaceful dance. "Listen," Theodore whispered as they paused beneath a willow tree. "Can you hear the lullaby of the evening?" Henry closed his eyes and listened. He could hear the soft rustling of leaves, the quiet chirping of crickets beginning their evening song, and the gentle murmur of a nearby stream. The two friends continued their walk as the sky began to change colors. Soft pink and purple clouds floated overhead, and the first stars began to twinkle. A mother bird flew overhead, heading back to her nest, where her babies waited, cozy and warm. Theodore and Henry came to a peaceful pond where water lilies floated like little boats on the surface. The water reflected the sky like a mirror, making it seem as though they were walking through the stars themselves. A family of ducks glided silently across the water, creating gentle ripples that spread out in perfect circles. "I never knew walking slowly could be so wonderful," Henry said softly, watching as a firefly drifted past, its gentle light blinking like a tiny lantern. Theodore smiled warmly at his friend. "Sometimes the most beautiful things can only be seen when we take our time," he replied. As they walked, the evening grew softer and quieter. The moon rose like a silver pearl in the darkening sky, casting a gentle glow over the meadow. More fireflies began to appear, twinkling like earthbound stars among the grass and flowers. They passed beneath trees where owls were just awakening, their soft hooting adding to the evening's peaceful symphony. The friends watched as bats flew gracefully overhead, their wings making no sound as they danced through the twilight air. The path led them through a grove of ancient trees, their branches reaching up to the star-filled sky like gentle guardians. Moss grew soft and thick beneath their feet, making each step feel like walking on clouds. The air was filled with the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers. As the evening deepened, Theodore and Henry found themselves walking closer together, sharing the peaceful quiet of the night. They didn't need to speak much now. They simply enjoyed each other's company and the gentle beauty around them. They came to a small clearing carpeted with soft grass and surrounded by nodding flowers. "This seems like a perfect place to rest," Theodore suggested gently. Henry agreed, and they settled down together, looking up at the stars that now filled the sky like scattered diamond dust. The night air grew cooler, but it was still gentle and sweet. Crickets chirped their lullaby, and a soft breeze carried the scent of lavender and chamomile. Henry found himself yawning, feeling more peaceful than he had ever felt before. "Thank you for showing me how to slow down and enjoy the evening," Henry whispered to his friend. Theodore smiled softly. "And thank you for being such wonderful company," he replied. As they rested together in the clearing, they watched the stars twinkle and the moon sail slowly across the sky. The gentle sounds of the night wrapped around them like a warm blanket, and they felt completely at peace. The two friends stayed there, sharing the quiet joy of the evening, until their eyes grew heavy with sleep. They knew that this peaceful walk had changed something between them, creating a deeper friendship built on sharing life's gentle moments. And as the night grew deeper and the moon continued its quiet journey across the star-filled sky, Theodore and Henry drifted off to sleep, knowing that sometimes the most precious moments come when we learn to slow down and appreciate the peaceful beauty that surrounds us. In a cozy little cottage at the edge of Whisperwood Forest lived a small, fluffy bunny named Luna. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of purple and pink, Luna would prepare for her special bedtime routine. Her favorite part was brushing her teeth, because that's when all her forest friends would gather at her window to join in the gentle ritual. Tonight, as Luna held her soft blue toothbrush, she heard a familiar tap at her window. There sat Oliver, the wise old owl, Sophie, the gentle squirrel, and Percy, the peaceful porcupine, all holding their own tiny toothbrushes made from the softest bristles of dandelions. "Welcome, my dear friends," Luna whispered softly, her voice as gentle as evening dew. "Shall we make our teeth sparkle like the stars above?" All her friends nodded with warm smiles, their eyes twinkling with joy. Luna squeezed a small drop of minty toothpaste onto her brush. It reminded her of the fresh, wild mint that grew near the babbling brook in springtime. The paste sparkled like morning frost on flower petals, and its scent was as refreshing as a cool breeze through pine needles. "Let's begin with our front teeth," Luna suggested, making small circles with her toothbrush. Her friends followed along, their movements synchronized like a peaceful dance. "Gentle circles, just like the morning mist swirling through our forest," she hummed. Together, they counted softly. 1, 2, 3, like butterflies floating free. Their brushes moved in perfect harmony as they cleaned each tooth with care and patience. The sound of their soft brushing reminded Luna of leaves rustling in a tender breeze. "Now for our back teeth," Luna guided, where the sweet berries like to hide. They all moved their brushes to reach their back teeth, imagining they were clearing away the remnants of the day's sweet treats. Back and forth, like gentle waves on a moonlit lake, she murmured. Sophie the squirrel demonstrated her special technique for reaching the inner sides of her teeth. "Like cleaning the inside of an acorn home," she whispered, and everyone followed her example. Their brushes moved with the gentleness of flower petals falling on soft moss. Percy the porcupine showed them how to clean their tongue, explaining that it helps keep breath as fresh as morning dew. "Softly, softly," he reminded them, like walking on clouds in a dream. Oliver the owl, with all his wisdom, reminded them to brush the tops of their teeth too. Like sweeping stardust from the evening sky, he hooted quietly. They all smiled as they imagined their toothbrushes collecting tiny stars. As they continued their peaceful brushing, Luna began to hum a gentle melody. It was a tune her mother had taught her, about moonbeams dancing on dewdrops and stars twinkling in the night sky. Her friends swayed gently to the peaceful rhythm. "Remember to reach every tooth," Luna whispered, "just as the moon reaches every corner of our forest at night." They moved their brushes carefully, making sure no tooth was left without its share of attention and care. The friends took their time, knowing that proper toothbrushing was like tending to a beautiful garden. It needed patience and gentle dedication. They brushed until every tooth felt as smooth as river stones and as clean as fresh snow. When it was time to rinse, they all took small sips of cool, clear water. Luna imagined it came from the crystal clear stream that flowed through the heart of Whisperwood Forest. They swished the water gently, like little waves in a peaceful pond. After spitting the water out, they all smiled at their reflections in Luna's mirror. Their teeth sparkled like dewdrops in the morning sun, and their mouths felt as fresh as a spring meadow. "Thank you for brushing with me, dear friends," Luna said softly, her heart full of warmth and gratitude. "Our teeth are now as clean as the stars above and as fresh as the morning breeze." Oliver the Owl spread his wings in a gentle stretch. "Sweet dreams, little ones," he whispered. "May your sleep be as peaceful as our evening brush time together." Sophie the Squirrel and Percy the Porcupine waved goodbye with their tiny toothbrushes, their eyes heavy with sleepiness. Luna watched as her friends made their way back to their cozy homes in the forest, their paths lit by the gentle glow of fireflies. Luna placed her toothbrush in its special holder, shaped like a crescent moon. She felt clean, content, and ready for peaceful dreams. As she climbed into her soft bed, she could still taste the fresh mintiness in her mouth, reminding her of the lovely evening ritual she shared with her forest friends. The moon cast its gentle light through her window, and Luna snuggled deeper into her covers. Her teeth felt smooth and clean against her tongue, and her heart was full of joy from the time spent with her dear friends. As she drifted off to sleep, she looked forward to tomorrow evening, when they would all gather again for their special brushing time under the stars. In the gentle quiet of the night, Luna fell into sweet dreams of dancing toothbrushes, sparkling stars, and the warm smiles of her forest friends, knowing that tomorrow would bring another peaceful evening of caring for their teeth together. On a warm summer morning, as the sun rose gently over the ocean, a small brown rabbit named Cotton lived in a cozy burrow near the shoreline. The soft sand around his home was always warm and pleasant, and the gentle sound of waves helped him sleep peacefully each night. Cotton loved watching the sunrise from his favorite spot on a grassy dune, where the morning breeze would softly ruffle his fur. One peaceful morning, while Cotton was quietly nibbling on some sweet beach grass, he noticed something moving slowly in the distance. It was his dear friend Marina, a wise old sea turtle, making her way along the shore. Marina always moved with such peaceful grace, never rushing, always taking time to appreciate the beauty around her. Cotton hopped down from his grassy perch and gently made his way toward his friend. The warm sand felt wonderful beneath his paws as he moved quietly across the beach. "Good morning, Marina," Cotton whispered softly, not wanting to disturb the peaceful morning atmosphere. Marina smiled warmly at her small friend, her ancient eyes twinkling with joy. "What a lovely morning for a walk along the shore," Marina said in her gentle, soothing voice. "Would you like to join me, dear friend?" Cotton nodded happily, and together they began a slow, peaceful journey down the beach. The morning sun warmed their backs as they walked, while the cool ocean breeze kept them comfortable. As they wandered, Marina showed Cotton all the wonderful treasures that had washed up on shore during the night. There were smooth, polished seashells in soft pastel colors, rounded pieces of sea glass that sparkled like gems, and delicate feathers that had drifted down from passing seabirds. Cotton marveled at each discovery, carefully examining them with his sensitive whiskers. They found a peaceful spot near the water's edge, where the waves gently lapped at the shore. Marina taught Cotton how to listen to the sounds hidden within seashells. "Close your eyes," she whispered, "and you can hear the ocean singing its peaceful song." Cotton held a large spiral shell to his ear and listened intently. The soft whooshing sound reminded him of gentle breezes through tall grass. As the morning stretched into afternoon, Cotton and Marina rested in the warm sand. They watched small sandpipers tiptoeing along the water's edge, their tiny feet making delicate patterns in the wet sand. Seagulls glided peacefully overhead, carried by gentle air currents, while small waves created a soothing rhythm as they washed upon the shore. Marina showed Cotton how to make patterns in the sand using gentle movements. Together, they drew swirling designs that looked like the ocean's waves. The warm sun made them feel sleepy and content as they created their peaceful artwork. Sometimes they would pause just to feel the gentle breeze and listen to the calming sounds around them. As the afternoon slowly drifted by, Cotton and Marina found a comfortable spot in the soft sand, partially shaded by a weathered piece of driftwood. They watched clouds drift lazily across the sky, pointing out shapes that reminded them of peaceful things: fluffy pillows, floating feathers, and gentle waves. Marina shared stories of her long life in the ocean, speaking in soft, peaceful tones about moonlit nights on calm seas and quiet mornings, watching the sun rise over still waters. Cotton listened contentedly, feeling more relaxed with each passing moment. The combination of Marina's soothing voice and the gentle sound of waves made his eyelids feel heavy. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, the sky transformed into soft shades of pink and lavender. The ocean reflected these gentle colors, creating a peaceful palette that stretched as far as they could see. Cotton and Marina sat quietly together, watching the beautiful sunset unfold before them. The evening brought a cool breeze that carried the sweet scent of salt water and beach flowers. Small stars began to appear in the darkening sky, twinkling softly like distant lighthouse beacons. Marina pointed out the evening star, explaining how it helped guide creatures home across the vast ocean. As darkness settled gently over the beach, Cotton and Marina knew it was time to bid each other farewell. They had spent a perfect day together, filled with peaceful moments and quiet joy. "Thank you for sharing this wonderful day with me," Cotton said softly to his friend. Marina smiled warmly and nodded, her eyes reflecting the gentle starlight. They parted ways slowly, Marina making her way back to the ocean while Cotton hopped toward his cozy burrow. The sound of waves followed him home, a peaceful lullaby that made him feel safe and content. Inside his burrow, Cotton made himself comfortable in his soft bed of grass and flower petals. As he drifted off to sleep, Cotton thought about the peaceful day he had shared with his friend. He could still hear the gentle waves in the distance, still feel the warm sand beneath his paws, and still see the beautiful colors of the sunset behind his closed eyes. The memory of this perfect, peaceful day would fill his dreams with joy and tranquility. And so, as the moon rose over the quiet beach, both Cotton and Marina slept peacefully in their homes, one in a cozy burrow in the dunes, the other in the gentle embrace of the ocean. The waves continued their endless symphony, a peaceful lullaby for all the creatures of the shore. Under a sky full of softly twinkling stars, high in the branches of an ancient oak tree, where the leaves whispered gentle lullabies, there lived a family of songbirds in their cozy nest. The nest was woven with the softest feathers and the most delicate strands of silk soft grass, making it the perfect place to rest as evening approached. Mother Bird had carefully crafted this special home, weaving love into every tiny twig. Her 3 little chicks, with their downy feathers as soft as clouds, nestled close together as the golden sun began its slow dance toward the horizon. The evening air was warm and sweet, carrying the gentle fragrance of sleepy flowers closing their petals for the night. As twilight began to paint the sky in gentle shades of lavender and rose, Mother Bird gathered her little ones closer. "Time to prepare for sleep, my darlings," she cooed softly. The smallest chick yawned, his tiny beak opening wide as his eyes grew heavy. His siblings snuggled closer, their feathers brushing together like whispered secrets. The forest around them was beginning its nighttime symphony. Crickets played their quiet violins, while the evening breeze conducted a gentle melody through the leaves. Far below, a stream hummed a peaceful song as it flowed over smooth, round stones. Each sound blended together into nature's perfect lullaby. Mother Bird began her evening ritual, smoothing each chick's feathers with her gentle beak. "Rest your wings," she hummed softly. "Let your thoughts float away like gentle clouds in the evening sky." The first little chick closed his eyes, imagining himself drifting on soft cotton cloud pillows. "Listen to the evening song," Mother Bird continued, her voice as soft as moonlight. "Feel the peaceful rhythm of the forest's heart." The second chick nestled deeper into the nest, feeling the warmth of her siblings and the comfort of their cozy home. Her small body grew heavier with each peaceful breath. The moonlight began to filter through the leaves, creating patterns of silver light that danced slowly across the nest. Like a gentle blanket, it covered the forest in its soft, glowing embrace. Stars began to twinkle overhead, each one a tiny nightlight, watching over sleeping creatures below. Mother Bird spread her wings slightly, creating a warm canopy over her drowsy chicks. "The moon is rising," she sang softly, bringing dreams on silver wings. The stars are singing their quiet songs, blessing each sleeping thing. The third chick yawned once more, his little eyes fluttering in the peaceful darkness. A gentle night wind carried the scent of jasmine and evening primrose, flowers that only shared their sweet perfume when the world grew quiet. The breeze whispered ancient lullabies, passed down through generations of trees, each leaf adding its own gentle note to the melody. "Sleep now, my precious ones," Mother Bird murmured, "while the night wraps its velvet wings around our nest." She began to hum a soft, wordless tune, one that seemed to blend with the very breath of the sleeping forest. The sound floated through the air like feathers on a gentle breeze. Below their nest, the forest settled into its nighttime rhythm. Soft moth wings fluttered past like drifting flower petals. An owl glided silently through the trees, its wings making no more sound than a passing cloud. Even the leaves seemed to move more slowly, as if the whole world was preparing for sleep. The 3 little chicks were growing heavier, their eyes closing longer with each peaceful blink. The smallest one made a tiny, contented sound, like a falling leaf touching the ground. His sister nuzzled closer, her breathing becoming slow and steady. The third chick was already floating in peaceful dreams. Mother Bird continued her gentle song, weaving memories of the day into sweet dreams for her little ones. She sang of sunny meadows and gentle breezes, of soft rain on leaves and rainbow-crowned clouds. Her voice merged with the evening sounds until it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. As the night deepened, the stars grew brighter, each one twinkling like a loving eye, watching over the sleeping world. The moon's silver light filtered through the leaves, touching each sleeping chick with its gentle blessing. Mother Bird's song grew softer and softer, becoming no more than a whispered breath. The nest swayed ever so gently in the night breeze, rocking like a cradle suspended between earth and sky. The ancient oak tree held them securely in its strong arms, its leaves providing a sheltering canopy of peace. Each breath the sleeping chicks took was matched by the slow, steady rhythm of the sleeping forest. Now the only sounds were the softest whispers of wind through leaves, the distant murmur of the stream, and the peaceful breathing of 3 sleeping chicks. Mother Bird gazed lovingly at her sleeping family, her heart full of quiet joy. The night wrapped them all in its gentle embrace, keeping them safe until the dawn's first light would softly wake them once again. In the peaceful darkness, the nest became a tiny island of dreams, floating in a sea of starlight and shadow. Mother Bird's eyes grew heavy as she listened to the breathing of her sleeping chicks. The forest lullaby grew fainter and fainter until all that remained was the sound of peaceful sleep, carrying them all gently through the quiet night. In a peaceful corner of the forest, where the morning sunbeams filtered softly through the leaves, lived 2 very special friends. Eleanor the elephant had soft gray skin that felt like warm velvet, and her friend Geoffrey the giraffe had beautiful spots that looked like golden clouds scattered across his fur. They loved spending quiet days together, sharing gentle moments under the shade of the tall, whispering trees. One peaceful morning, as Eleanor and Geoffrey were enjoying their breakfast of sweet, tender leaves, they watched a family of birds nestled in their cozy tree home. The sight made them smile, and Eleanor had a lovely thought. "Dear Geoffrey," she whispered softly, "wouldn't it be wonderful if we could build our own special place in the trees? A quiet space where we could watch the stars at night." Geoffrey smiled warmly at his friend, his long neck swaying gently in the morning breeze. "That's a beautiful idea, Eleanor," he replied in his calm, gentle voice. "We could make it big enough for both of us, with windows to see the sunset and soft cushions made from fallen leaves." The 2 friends began their peaceful project with careful planning. Eleanor used her trunk to gather smooth, fallen branches, while Geoffrey reached up high into the trees to collect the softest leaves and vines. They worked together slowly and steadily, like the gentle rhythm of falling rain. As the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, Eleanor discovered she could lift the heaviest branches with her strong trunk, passing them carefully to Geoffrey, who could reach the highest spots in the old oak tree. They worked in comfortable silence, occasionally sharing soft smiles and quiet words of encouragement. The forest around them hummed with peaceful sounds, the soft rustling of leaves, the gentle cooing of doves, and the quiet whisper of the warm breeze. Other forest animals watched with interest, but Eleanor and Geoffrey were so focused on their gentle task that they hardly noticed their curious audience. When it was time for their afternoon rest, they sat together in the cool grass, sharing sweet berries and watching fluffy clouds drift lazily across the sky. "The treehouse is coming along beautifully," Eleanor murmured, her eyes half closed in contentment. Geoffrey nodded slowly, feeling peaceful and happy. As the afternoon continued, they added more special touches to their treehouse. Eleanor wove soft grasses into cozy mats for the floor, while Geoffrey arranged delicate flowers in the windows. They created a special platform strong enough to hold Eleanor's weight, and made the entrance wide enough for Geoffrey's long neck to fit comfortably. The sun began to sink lower in the sky, painting the clouds in soft shades of pink and gold. Eleanor and Geoffrey stepped back to admire their work, feeling warm satisfaction in their hearts. The treehouse was perfect, not too big and not too small, just right for two friends to share. "Shall we try it out?" Geoffrey asked softly, and Eleanor nodded with a gentle smile. They climbed carefully into their new space, Eleanor using the strong platform they had built, while Geoffrey's long neck allowed him to peek in through the special window they had made just for him. Inside, everything was peaceful and calm. Soft breezes drifted through the windows, carrying the sweet scent of forest flowers. They had lined the walls with the softest moss they could find and created comfortable spots where they could rest and watch the world go by. As evening settled over the forest, Eleanor and Geoffrey sat quietly in their treehouse, watching as the first stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky. The moon rose slowly, casting a gentle silver light through the leaves, making patterns on the treehouse floor. "This is even more wonderful than I imagined," Eleanor whispered, her voice soft and content. Geoffrey hummed in agreement, his eyes growing heavy with peaceful tiredness. Below them, the forest was settling down for the night, with occasional soft hoots from owls and the gentle rustle of nocturnal creatures beginning their quiet evening activities. Time passed slowly and sweetly in their cozy treehouse. Eleanor and Geoffrey found themselves growing more sleepy as they listened to the soothing nighttime sounds of the forest. The stars twinkled like tiny lanterns in the dark sky, and a gentle breeze rocked their treehouse ever so slightly, like a mother softly swaying a cradle. As the night grew deeper, Eleanor curled up on her soft grass mat, while Geoffrey rested his long neck on the special cushioned ledge they had made. Their treehouse kept them safe and warm, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of their forest home. The moon watched over them like a gentle guardian, casting soft silver light through the windows. And so, the two friends drifted off to sleep in their perfect treehouse, surrounded by the quiet whispers of the night forest. Their hearts were full of contentment, knowing they had created something special together. The stars continued their gentle twinkle, the leaves whispered soft lullabies, and all was peaceful in their corner of the forest. High up in the emerald canopy of an ancient forest, where sunlight filtered through layers of soft green leaves, lived two very special friends. One was a gentle monkey named Whisper, who moved as quietly as morning mist through the branches. The other was a sleepy koala bear called Luna, whose favorite pastime was finding the coziest spots for afternoon naps. The forest was always peaceful at this time of day, when golden sunbeams painted warm patterns on the tree bark and soft breezes carried the sweet scent of eucalyptus leaves. Whisper and Luna loved spending their afternoons together, sharing quiet moments among the swaying branches. One particularly lovely afternoon, as Luna was beginning to feel drowsy after nibbling on her eucalyptus leaves, Whisper had a gentle idea. "Would you like to play a very quiet game of hide-and-seek?" he whispered to Luna, his voice as soft as falling leaves. Luna smiled sleepily, her round gray ears twitching slightly. "That sounds nice," she murmured, "but let's play it very slowly and peacefully." Whisper nodded, understanding that the best games with Luna were always the calm ones. "I'll count very slowly," Luna said, settling herself against a broad tree trunk. "And you can find a cozy hiding spot." She began counting in the most soothing way possible. 1, 2, 3. Her voice was like a lullaby floating through the branches. Whisper moved quietly through the canopy, his feet padding softly on the smooth bark. He found a perfect spot behind a cluster of broad leaves, where dappled sunlight created peaceful patterns all around him. The gentle swaying of the branches made him feel as though he was being rocked in nature's cradle. Luna finished counting and opened her eyes, taking her time to look around the peaceful treetop world. She didn't rush or hurry, but instead moved with careful, gentle movements from branch to branch. The afternoon sun warmed her fur as she searched, making her feel even more relaxed. As Luna searched, she noticed all the wonderful, peaceful things in their treetop home. There were soft moss patches that felt like tiny cushions under her paws. Delicate flowers nodded their heads in the gentle breeze, and far above, fluffy clouds drifted lazily across the sky like floating pillows. Whisper watched contentedly from his hiding place as Luna passed nearby. He could have stayed hidden longer, but he didn't want his friend to become too tired. So he let his tail drift down just a little, like a gentle vine swaying in the breeze. Luna noticed the movement and smiled softly. "I see you, dear friend," she whispered, and Whisper emerged from his hiding spot with a peaceful smile. They both settled onto a wide branch, their backs against the sturdy trunk, feeling the warmth of the afternoon sun on their fur. "Now it's your turn to hide," Whisper said gently, but when he looked at Luna, he saw that her eyes were already getting heavy. "Or perhaps we could just rest here together for a while," he suggested, his voice as soft as moonlight. Luna nodded sleepily, grateful for her friend's understanding. The two of them sat together in comfortable silence, listening to the forest's gentle lullaby, the soft rustle of leaves, the distant cooing of peaceful doves, and the whisper of the wind through the branches. As the afternoon continued its quiet journey toward evening, Whisper noticed that Luna had drifted into a peaceful sleep. He carefully adjusted a nearby branch to create a little more shade for his friend, then settled back to keep her company. The warm air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers and the earthy aroma of the forest. Whisper watched as golden butterflies danced slowly through the air, their wings catching the sunlight like tiny floating dreams. The peaceful scene made his own eyes begin to feel heavy. Time passed like honey dripping from a flower, slow, sweet, and golden. The forest grew quieter as the afternoon deepened, and the sunlight took on a warm, amber glow. Whisper found himself thinking about how sometimes the very best games were the ones that turned into quiet moments of friendship. Luna stirred slightly in her sleep, and Whisper gently patted her paw. She smiled without opening her eyes, knowing her friend was near. The branches continued their gentle swaying, creating a natural cradle for the two friends. As the day slowly drew to a close, the first evening star appeared in the soft purple sky above the treetops. Whisper thought about how wonderful it was to have a friend who understood the beauty of peaceful moments. Sometimes the quietest afternoons were the most special of all. The forest settled into its evening rhythm, with the daybirds singing their last soft songs and the night creatures beginning their gentle symphony. Whisper and Luna remained together in their treetop haven, sharing the kind of peaceful friendship that needed no words at all. And as the stars began to twinkle one by one in the darkening sky, the forest wrapped its gentle arms around the two friends. Their game of hide-and-seek had become something even more special, a quiet celebration of friendship, peace, and the simple joy of being together in their cozy treetop world. In a peaceful garden, where the evening breeze whispered sweet lullabies to the flowers, there lived a tiny seed named Luna. Luna was tucked snugly beneath a soft blanket of autumn leaves, dreaming of the wonderful adventure that awaited her. As Luna rested in her cozy bed of earth, she felt the gentle warmth of the soil surrounding her like a warm hug. The earth was dark and quiet, perfect for dreaming big dreams. While other seeds might have felt lonely in the quiet darkness, Luna felt safe and content, knowing that something magical was about to begin. One peaceful morning, when the dewdrops were still dancing on the grass above, Luna felt a strange and wonderful sensation. A tiny part of her began to stretch, ever so slowly, like when you stretch your arms after a long, restful sleep. This little stretch became the beginning of her first root, reaching down into the welcoming soil. Day after day, in the peaceful quiet of her underground home, Luna continued to grow. Her root grew longer and stronger, while another part of her began to reach upward, searching for the light above. The soil held her gently, like a mother cradling her child, providing all the nutrients she needed for her journey. Soon the warmth of spring arrived, bringing with it soft, pattering raindrops. Each drop of rain was like a sweet kiss from the sky, helping Luna grow a little bit more. The rain would whisper stories of the world above, telling Luna about the butterflies that danced in the meadow and the clouds that painted pictures in the sky. Slowly, ever so slowly, Luna's small stem pushed through the earth, reaching toward the sunlight. It was like waking up from a long, peaceful dream. The first time she felt the sun's warm rays, it was as gentle as a goodnight kiss. The light wrapped around her like a warm blanket, encouraging her to grow taller and stronger. As the days passed like soft clouds drifting across the sky, Luna grew her first leaves. They were small and tender, like tiny green hands reaching out to wave hello to the world. The breeze would gently rock her back and forth, singing sweet lullabies that made her leaves dance in the most peaceful way. Throughout the summer, Luna grew taller and stronger. Her stem became a trunk, sturdy and true. More branches sprouted, each one reaching out like arms stretching toward the sky. More leaves unfurled, creating cool, shady spots where small creatures could rest and dream their own dreams. Seasons came and went like gentle waves on a quiet shore. Each year, Luna grew taller and wider, her branches reaching further into the sky. Birds began to visit her, building cozy nests where they could raise their babies. Squirrels scampered along her branches, finding perfect spots for afternoon naps. As Luna grew into a magnificent tree, she never forgot her days as a tiny seed, dreaming beneath the soil. Now, she provided a safe haven for other small creatures to dream their own dreams. In spring, she would bloom with delicate flowers that transformed into new seeds, each one carrying the promise of another wonderful journey. When evening came, Luna's leaves would softly sway in the twilight breeze, creating peaceful shadows that danced on the ground below. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, she would gently rock the sleeping birds in their nests, keeping them safe and warm through the night. In autumn, Luna's leaves would turn the most beautiful shades of gold and amber, like a sunset painted across her branches. These leaves would slowly drift down to the ground, creating a soft, warm blanket for new seeds to rest beneath, just as she once did. Through winter's quiet days, Luna would stand peaceful and strong, her branches reaching up toward the starry sky. The moonlight would make the frost on her branches sparkle like tiny diamonds, while below, new seeds slept soundly in the soil, dreaming of their own adventures to come. Years passed like gentle sighs, and Luna grew into the most magnificent tree in the garden. Her strong trunk told stories of countless sunny days and peaceful nights. Her branches had become home to generations of birds, and her roots stretched deep into the earth, remembering her first days as a tiny, dreaming seed. Now, when the evening wind blows through her leaves, Luna sings soft lullabies to all the garden creatures. She watches over sleeping rabbits, drowsy butterflies, and tiny seeds tucked beneath her falling leaves. Each night, as the stars begin to twinkle, she gently sways, helping all the garden's children drift into peaceful dreams. And so, Luna continues her peaceful existence, providing shelter and comfort to all who visit her. She stands as a reminder that the most wonderful dreams can come true, growing slowly and steadily, one peaceful day at a time. Every evening as the sun sets and the moon rises, Luna's leaves whisper ancient secrets of growth and transformation, helping all who listen drift into sweet, peaceful sleep. In a peaceful forest where gentle breezes whispered through tall pine trees, there stood a charming little cottage. This was the home of 3 bears who lived together in perfect harmony. There was Papa Bear, with his warm brown fur as soft as autumn leaves, Mama Bear, whose gentle eyes sparkled like morning dew, and Baby Bear, who was small and cuddly like a warm cloud. The bear's cottage was always filled with love and the sweet aromas of Mama Bear's wonderful cooking. The wooden walls were smoothed by time, and soft patches of moss grew around the stepping stones that led to their door. Flowers nodded their sleepy heads in the garden, and butterflies danced lazily in the golden sunlight. One morning, Mama Bear made a delicious pot of porridge for breakfast. The wonderful smell of honey and oats floated through the air like a warm hug. But the porridge was too hot to eat right away, so Papa Bear suggested they take a peaceful walk in the woods while their breakfast cooled. The 3 bears strolled along the winding forest path, listening to the soft songs of morning birds and feeling the gentle touch of sunshine filtering through the leaves. The forest was quiet and peaceful, perfect for their morning walk. While the bears were away, a little girl with hair as golden as summer sunshine came walking through the forest. This was Goldilocks, who had wandered a bit too far from home while picking wildflowers. The sweet aroma of porridge drew her to the bear's cottage, and finding the door open, she peeked inside. The cottage was so cozy and welcoming, with soft rugs on the floor and lovely paintings of the forest on the walls. In the kitchen, she found 3 bowls of porridge sitting on the table, The largest bowl belonged to Papa Bear, the middle-sized bowl was Mama Bear's, and the smallest bowl belonged to Baby Bear. Feeling a little hungry from her walk, Goldilocks tried the porridge in Papa Bear's big bowl. "Oh," she whispered softly, "this porridge is too hot." Then she tasted the porridge in Mama Bear's middle-sized bowl. "This porridge is too cold," she said, with a gentle sigh. Finally, she tried the porridge in Baby Bear's small bowl. "This porridge is just right," she smiled, and slowly ate it all up. After her breakfast, Goldilocks noticed 3 comfortable chairs in the living room. The largest chair was Papa Bear's favorite reading chair. The middle-sized chair belonged to Mama Bear, and the smallest was Baby Bear's special chair. Goldilocks sat in Papa Bear's big chair first. "This chair is too hard," she murmured sleepily. Then she tried Mama Bear's middle-sized chair. "This chair is too soft," she said, stifling a little yawn. Finally, she settled into Baby Bear's small chair. "This chair is just right," she smiled contentedly. But as she rocked gently back and forth, the chair began to creak softly, and before she knew it, it broke into pieces. Feeling rather tired now, Goldilocks climbed the stairs to the bear's bedroom. There she found 3 beds, all made up with soft, fluffy quilts. The largest bed was Papa Bear's. The middle-sized bed belonged to Mama Bear, and the smallest bed was Baby Bear's. Goldilocks lay down on Papa Bear's big bed first. "This bed is too hard," she whispered drowsily. Then she tried Mama Bear's middle-sized bed. "This bed is too soft," she murmured. Finally, she curled up in Baby Bear's small bed. "This bed is just right," she sighed contentedly, and soon drifted into a peaceful sleep. While Goldilocks was sleeping, the 3 bears returned from their walk. They entered their cottage quietly, noticing right away that someone had been there. Papa Bear looked at his bowl and said in his deep, gentle voice, "Someone has been tasting my porridge." Mama Bear looked at her bowl and said in her warm, soft voice, "Someone has been tasting my porridge too." Then Baby Bear looked at his empty bowl and said in his small, sweet voice, "Someone has eaten all my porridge." Moving to the living room, they saw their chairs had been disturbed. Papa Bear said softly, "Someone has been sitting in my chair." Mama Bear noticed her cushions were askew and whispered, "Someone has been sitting in my chair too." Baby Bear looked at his broken chair and said quietly, "Someone has been sitting in my chair, and now it needs fixing." The bears walked up to their bedroom, their footsteps gentle on the stairs. Papa Bear noticed his bed first. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed." Mama Bear saw her rumpled covers. "Someone has been sleeping in my bed too." Then Baby Bear looked at his bed and saw Goldilocks fast asleep. "Someone is sleeping in my bed right now." Goldilocks slowly opened her eyes to see 3 kind faces looking down at her. Instead of being frightened, she saw the gentleness in their eyes. Papa Bear helped her sit up, while Mama Bear wrapped a soft blanket around her shoulders. Baby Bear offered her a warm smile. Goldilocks apologized for coming into their home without permission, and the bears understood that she had lost her way. Mama Bear made a fresh pot of porridge, and they all sat down together to share a peaceful breakfast. Papa Bear told wonderful stories about the forest, while Baby Bear showed Goldilocks his favorite toys. As the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, Papa Bear walked Goldilocks home through the quiet forest. From that day forward, Goldilocks often visited the 3 bears, but always knocked politely first. They shared many happy times together and Goldilocks learned valuable lessons about respecting others' homes and belongings. And so, in the peaceful forest, where gentle breezes still whisper through tall pine trees, the bear's cottage remains a place of warmth and friendship, where everyone is welcome as long as they remember to knock first. In the warm, golden light of the setting sun, where the tall grass swayed like gentle waves in the breeze, there lived 3 very special friends. There was Leonard the lion, who had the softest golden mane that shimmered like honey in the sunlight. Emma the elephant, whose gray skin was smooth as river stones, and whose eyes sparkled with kindness. And finally, there was Grace the giraffe, whose long, graceful neck reached up toward the fluffy white clouds, floating lazily across the sky. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, these 3 friends would meet by the ancient baobab tree. The tree's branches spread out like a welcoming umbrella, providing a perfect place for them to share stories and watch the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. On this particular evening, Leonard the lion was the first to arrive. He walked slowly and peacefully, his paws making gentle impressions in the warm earth. He wasn't like other lions who rushed about. Leonard preferred to take his time and notice all the beautiful things around him. He watched as butterflies danced on the evening breeze, their wings catching the last rays of sunshine. Soon Emma the elephant came walking through the tall grass, her footsteps as soft as whispers despite her size. She had learned from her grandmother how to walk so quietly that even the sleeping flowers wouldn't wake. As she approached, she gently swayed her trunk in greeting to Leonard, who smiled warmly at his dear friend. Lastly came Grace the giraffe, her long legs moving in a slow, peaceful rhythm. She had spent the day reaching for the tastiest leaves at the tops of the trees, but now she was ready to relax with her friends. The setting sun made her spotted coat glow with warm golden light. "What a beautiful evening," whispered Leonard as he settled down on the soft grass. Emma nodded in agreement, sitting beside him with a contented sigh. Grace lowered her long neck, bringing her head close to her friends, and together they watched as the first stars began to twinkle in the deepening blue of the sky. "Shall I tell you about my day?" Emma asked softly. Her friends nodded, always happy to hear her gentle stories. "Today I found a pool of crystal clear water, so still it looked like a mirror. I saw clouds reflected in it, drifting slowly across the surface, like dreams floating by." Grace smiled, her long eyelashes fluttering as she remembered her own peaceful day. "I watched the sunrise this morning," she shared in her quiet voice. The sky turned from deep purple to soft pink, just like the flowers that bloom in the morning. The birds began to sing their sweet morning songs, one by one, until the whole savannah was filled with gentle music. Leonard listened contentedly, his eyes half closed in peaceful relaxation. "I spent my afternoon watching the clouds change shape," he murmured. "I saw one that looked like a sleeping lamb, and another that reminded me of a floating feather. As the night grew deeper, the stars multiplied until the sky was filled with twinkling lights. A cool, gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers." The 3 friends sat in comfortable silence, sharing the peaceful moment together. Emma began to hum very softly an old lullaby her mother had taught her. The sound was as gentle as falling leaves and as soothing as summer rain. Leonard's eyes grew heavier as he listened, and Grace swayed her long neck slowly to the melody. "When I was very young," Emma whispered, "my grandmother told me that the stars are like tiny lanterns, lit by ancient elephants to guide their way home. Now, whenever I see them twinkling above, I think of all the peaceful nights shared by those who came before us." Grace nodded sleepily. "And my mother always said that the moon is like a great silver leaf floating in the sky garden," she added, her voice soft and dreamy. The moon was indeed rising now, casting its gentle silver light over the savannah. Leonard yawned quietly, his great mane ruffling in the night breeze. "My grandfather used to say that night is when the world takes a peaceful breath, and all creatures can rest together in harmony." The night grew deeper still, and the friends found themselves growing more and more sleepy. Emma's eyes began to close, her trunk curled contentedly beside her. Grace's long neck gradually lowered until her head rested on the soft grass. Leonard's breathing became slow and peaceful, matching the gentle rhythm of the night. Around them, the savannah prepared for sleep. The crickets chirped their peaceful lullaby, and the grass swayed gently in the cool night air. Far above, the stars continued their quiet twinkling, watching over the three friends as they drifted into peaceful dreams. And so, beneath the ancient baobab tree, Leonard the lion, Emma the elephant, and Grace the giraffe slept peacefully together, surrounded by the gentle sounds of the night. The moon smiled down upon them, casting its soft silver light over their sleeping forms, while the stars kept their eternal watch in the vast, peaceful sky above. As they slept, they dreamed of tomorrow's sunset, when they would meet again to share more gentle stories and peaceful moments together, under the same stars that had watched over countless generations before them, in this most peaceful corner of the beautiful African savannah. In the soft golden light of a peaceful African evening, where the warm breeze whispered through the tall grass like a lullaby, there lived two very special friends. One was Eleanor the elephant, with skin as soft as velvet and eyes that sparkled like gentle stars. The other was Geoffrey the giraffe, whose long, graceful neck seemed to stretch up toward the fluffy clouds that drifted lazily across the sky. Eleanor and Geoffrey loved spending time together in their beautiful savannah home. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in gentle shades of pink and purple, Eleanor had a wonderful idea. "Would you like to play a quiet game of hide and seek?" she asked her tall friend, her voice as soft as the evening breeze. Geoffrey smiled down at Eleanor, his eyes twinkling with joy. "That sounds lovely," he whispered back. "But let's play very gently, so we don't disturb our friends who are getting ready for their evening rest." Eleanor nodded in agreement, and they decided she would seek first. She closed her eyes and began counting slowly and softly. 1, 2, 3. As she counted, she could hear Geoffrey's gentle footsteps moving quietly away, accompanied by the soothing rustle of grass. While Eleanor counted, Geoffrey looked around the peaceful savannah for a perfect hiding spot. The setting sun cast long, soft shadows across the land, making everything look magical and dreamy. He noticed a group of acacia trees whose leaves swayed gently in the evening breeze, their branches reaching out like welcoming arms. 18, 19, 20. Eleanor finished counting. She opened her eyes and gazed around the tranquil landscape. The air was filled with the soft chirping of crickets beginning their evening song, and far away, a family of birds was settling into their nest for the night. Eleanor moved slowly and peacefully through the savannah, her footsteps as gentle as falling leaves. She looked behind a large, smooth boulder that was warm from the day's sunshine. No Geoffrey there. She peeked around a cluster of peaceful sleeping flowers, their petals closed for the night. Still no sign of her friend. As she walked, Eleanor noticed all the beautiful, restful things around her. There were butterflies gently floating down to rest on soft flower petals. Little mice were curling up in their cozy grass nests. Even the clouds above seemed to be settling down for a peaceful night's sleep. Finally, Eleanor approached the acacia trees. She smiled softly as she noticed something unusual about one of them, a very long neck extending up through the branches. Geoffrey had tried his best to blend in with the trees, but his spots peeked through the leaves like gentle stars in the evening sky. "I see you, Geoffrey," Eleanor whispered with a warm smile. Geoffrey emerged from the trees, trying not to giggle too loudly. "Those trees were so cozy," he said softly. "The leaves were like a soft blanket around me." Now it was Geoffrey's turn to seek. He rested his long neck against one of the acacia trees and began counting slowly. 1, 2, 3. Eleanor moved quietly through the savannah, her steps as light as floating clouds. She found a wonderful hiding spot behind a group of sleeping bushes. Their leaves were soft and cool, and Eleanor felt very peaceful as she settled in. She could hear Geoffrey's gentle voice counting in the distance, mixing with the soothing sounds of the evening. When Geoffrey finished counting, he began his careful search. His long neck allowed him to see far across the peaceful savannah, but Eleanor had chosen her hiding spot well. He looked near the quiet waterhole, where the surface was as smooth as glass. He checked behind the large, round rocks that sat like sleeping giants in the grass. As Geoffrey searched, the sky grew softer and darker, with the first evening stars beginning to twinkle above like tiny night lights. The moon rose slowly, casting a gentle silver glow over everything. It made the savannah look like a magical dream world. Geoffrey moved gracefully between the trees and bushes, his long legs carrying him quietly through the tall grass. He noticed how the evening dew made everything sparkle softly in the moonlight. The air was becoming cooler and more peaceful with each passing moment. At last, Geoffrey approached the sleeping bushes. He saw a gentle movement and noticed Eleanor's trunk peeking out ever so slightly. "I found you, Eleanor," he whispered with a warm smile. Eleanor emerged from her hiding spot, feeling calm and content. The two friends sat together under the star-filled sky, watching as more and more stars appeared like tiny diamonds scattered across dark velvet. They felt peaceful and happy after their gentle game. The evening air wrapped around them like a soft, warm blanket. "That was such a lovely game," Eleanor said, with a peaceful yawn. Geoffrey nodded slowly, his own eyes beginning to feel heavy with sleep. "The most wonderful part," he whispered, "was spending this quiet time with you, my dear friend." As the moon continued its gentle journey across the sky, Eleanor and Geoffrey decided it was time to rest. They found comfortable spots near each other, Eleanor lying on the soft grass, and Geoffrey settling down beside her. The cricket's lullaby grew softer and softer, and the stars twinkled their own quiet goodnight. The peaceful savannah had grown very still now, with only the gentlest of breezes moving through the grass. Eleanor and Geoffrey closed their eyes, feeling safe and content in each other's company. Their game of hide-and-seek had been perfect, not too exciting, just peaceful and fun. Exactly right for a beautiful evening under the stars. And as they drifted off to sleep, the moon watched over them like a gentle guardian, casting its soft silver light across the peaceful African night. The stars continued their quiet twinkling, and all was calm and peaceful in their corner of the world, where two unlikely friends had shared a perfect evening of gentle play and warm friendship. In a cozy garden where flowers swayed gently in the morning breeze, there lived a little honeybee named Blossom. Her tiny home was nestled within a warm, golden beehive that hung from an old apple tree, surrounded by the sweetest smelling flowers you could imagine. As the soft morning light painted the sky in gentle shades of pink and gold, Blossom slowly awakened in her snug honeycomb chamber. She stretched her delicate wings and took a deep, peaceful breath of the sweet morning air. All around her, her bee family was beginning to stir, humming their gentle morning songs. The morning dew sparkled like tiny diamonds on the flower petals below, and wisps of mist danced gracefully through the garden. Blossom carefully groomed her fuzzy body, making sure her yellow and black stripes were neat and tidy. She always took her time with this morning ritual, knowing there was no need to rush. Outside the hive, the garden was coming to life in the most peaceful way. Butterflies were quietly unfurling their wings in the warmth of the morning sun. Soft white clouds drifted lazily across the sky like fluffy sheep grazing in a blue meadow. The flowers below seemed to be stretching their petals toward the warming sunlight, just as Blossom was doing with her wings. As Blossom ventured out of her hive, she paused to feel the gentle morning breeze caress her wings. The air was filled with the sweet perfume of flowers, each one calling to her with its own special fragrance. She decided to visit her favorite patch of lavender first, where the purple blooms swayed like gentle waves in an ocean of calm. Floating down to the lavender, Blossom landed softly on a flower stem that curved gracefully under her weight. She worked peacefully, gathering nectar and pollen, while the lavender stems swayed soothingly around her. The rhythm of her work was like a gentle lullaby. Dip, sip, gather, rest. Dip, sip, gather, rest. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Blossom visited the pale pink roses that grew near the old stone wall. Their petals were as soft as clouds, and their scent was sweet and dreamy. She worked quietly among the roses, listening to their whispered stories of summer days and gentle rains. In the afternoon, when the sun was warm and golden, Blossom found herself among the nodding heads of sleepy sunflowers. These gentle giants of the garden kept her company as she gathered their gifts, their broad faces following the sun's peaceful journey across the sky. Throughout the day, Blossom met many garden friends. There was Sebastian the snail, who carried his cozy house on his back and left shimmering silver trails as he slowly explored the garden paths. Martha the mouse gathered soft bits of flower petals to line her snug burrow beneath the roots of the apple tree. And Theodore the toad sat contentedly in the shade, blinking his gentle eyes as he watched the quiet activities of the garden. When the afternoon began to soften into evening, Blossom visited the patch of white clover that carpeted the ground like tiny stars fallen from the sky. The clover's sweet nectar would be her last gathering of the day, and she took her time, enjoying the peaceful moments as shadows lengthened and the air grew cool and still. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in soft shades of purple and gold, Blossom made her way back to her hive. Her legs were heavy with pollen, and her honey stomach was full of sweet nectar. The evening air was growing cooler now, and the flowers were closing their petals for the night. Back in her hive, Blossom shared her gathered nectar with her bee family. The inside of the hive was warm and cozy, filled with the gentle humming of thousands of wings and the sweet smell of honey. She listened to the quiet buzzing of her sisters as they prepared for night, each sound blending into a peaceful lullaby. In her snug honeycomb chamber, Blossom thought about her peaceful day in the garden. She remembered the gentle sway of the flowers, the soft touch of the breeze, and the warm embrace of the sun. Her wings were tired from flying, and her body was ready for rest. As night fell over the garden, the stars began to twinkle overhead, like tiny lanterns in the dark blue sky. The moon rose, casting its gentle silver light over the sleeping flowers. Inside the hive, the humming grew softer and softer as the bees settled down for the night. Blossom curled up in her cozy cell, feeling safe and warm among her family. The gentle vibrations of the hive surrounded her like a soft blanket, and the sweet scent of honey filled the air. Her eyes grew heavy as she thought about tomorrow's adventures, but for now, it was time to rest. As sleep began to embrace her, Blossom felt grateful for her peaceful day in the garden. The last thing she heard before drifting off to sleep was the gentle night song of the crickets and the soft whisper of the evening breeze through the apple tree's leaves. And so, our little bee Blossom fell into sweet dreams, surrounded by the love of her family and the peace of her garden. In a cozy little house at the end of Moonbeam Lane lived a young girl named Lucy, who, like many children, wasn't too fond of brushing her teeth before bedtime. Her room was filled with twinkling starlights and fluffy cloud pillows, but there was something special sitting in her bathroom that she didn't yet know about. One peaceful evening, as the sun was setting and painting the sky in soft shades of purple and pink, Lucy's grandmother came to visit. She carried a small velvet pouch that seemed to shimmer in the fading daylight. "I have something special for you, my dear," Grandmother whispered, her voice as gentle as a summer breeze. From the pouch, she pulled out a beautiful blue toothbrush. It looked ordinary at first, but there was something different about it, something magical. "This is Brushy Blue," Grandmother explained, "a very special friend who helps children have sweet dreams and healthy teeth." Lucy carefully held the toothbrush, admiring its soft bristles and gentle curve. "What makes it so special?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. Grandmother smiled softly and said, "Wait until bedtime, and you'll see the magic unfold." That night, as the moon rose high in the velvet sky, Lucy prepared for bed. When she walked into her bathroom and turned off the lights, something amazing happened. Brushy Blue began to glow with a soft, peaceful blue light that danced like starlight on the bathroom walls. Lucy gasped in delight as the gentle light filled the room with a calm, soothing glow. It was as if Brushy Blue was saying, "Don't worry, I'm here to keep you company." The light was so peaceful that Lucy felt all her worries about the dark melt away like snow on a warm spring morning. As she held Brushy Blue under the gentle stream of water, tiny sparkles of light seemed to dance in the air. The toothpaste looked like swirling stardust, and as Lucy began to brush her teeth, she heard a soft, musical humming. It was Brushy Blue, singing a gentle song that helped her remember to brush every tooth carefully and slowly. Night after night, Lucy looked forward to her bedtime routine. Brushy Blue's warm glow became her faithful companion, making the bathroom feel like a magical starlit garden. The toothbrush would pulse with a gentle light, showing her when to move to different parts of her mouth, ensuring every tooth got the attention it deserved. Sometimes, when Lucy was extra gentle with her brushing, Brushy Blue would create tiny light patterns on the ceiling. Soft, swirling clouds, twinkling stars, and floating butterflies that danced in slow, peaceful motions. These little light shows made Lucy feel calm and ready for sleep. One evening, Lucy noticed something new. As she brushed, Brushy Blue began to tell stories through its gentle, light patterns. The stories were about the Tooth Fairy's garden, where healthy, well-brushed teeth turned into beautiful flowers that glowed just like Brushy Blue. Each story ended with a peaceful message about taking care of yourself and being kind to others. Lucy's little brother Tommy, who was afraid of the dark, started joining her during brushing time. He would watch in wonder as Brushy Blue's calm light filled the room, making the darkness feel friendly and warm. Together, they would make up gentle stories about the light patterns they saw, their voices growing softer and sleepier as bedtime approached. Grandmother had been right. Brushy Blue was more than just a toothbrush. It was a magical friend who turned an ordinary bedtime routine into a peaceful adventure. The soft blue light became a symbol of comfort, like a nightlight that traveled with Lucy wherever she went. As the seasons changed outside her window, Lucy and Brushy Blue remained the best of friends. On warm summer evenings, the magical light reminded her of fireflies dancing in the garden. During autumn nights, it was like moonlight shining through falling leaves. In winter, the gentle glow felt as soft as snowflakes, and in spring, it sparkled like morning dew on flower petals. Lucy discovered that taking care of her teeth could be as peaceful as watching clouds drift across the sky or listening to gentle rain pattering against her window. Brushy Blue taught her that nighttime wasn't something to rush through, but a special time to slow down, breathe deeply, and prepare for sweet dreams. Years passed, and Lucy grew older, but Brushy Blue's magic never faded. The gentle light continued to glow, a reminder of her grandmother's love and the importance of peaceful bedtime moments. Sometimes, on especially quiet nights, Lucy would swear she could hear Brushy Blue humming softly, the same soothing melody from her childhood. And so, every evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Lucy would smile, knowing it was time to visit her magical friend. Together, they would welcome the night with gentle light and peaceful thoughts, making bedtime feel like wrapping yourself in a warm, soft blanket of starlight. As you drift off to sleep tonight, remember that sometimes the most magical friends can be found in the most ordinary places. Perhaps your own toothbrush has a special kind of magic too. The magic of helping you smile brighter and dream sweeter, just like Brushy Blue. In a peaceful forest where silver moonlight filtered through swaying branches, there lived a small brown rabbit named Cotton and a gentle red fox named Maple. They were the most unlikely of friends, but that's what made their friendship so special. Cotton had the softest fur that seemed to glow in the moonlight, while Maple's russet coat shimmered like autumn leaves in the gentle evening breeze. One tranquil evening, As the sun was setting and painting the sky in soft shades of pink and purple, Cotton and Maple decided to play a peaceful game of hide and seek. The forest was settling down for the night, with drowsy birds singing their last lullabies and flowers slowly closing their delicate petals. "Would you like to seek first or hide first?" Maple asked Cotton in a gentle whisper, careful not to disturb the forest's evening quiet. Cotton's nose twitched thoughtfully as soft evening dew began to settle on the grass around them. "I think I'd like to hide first," Cotton replied softly, watching as fireflies began their graceful evening dance through the air. "Count slowly to 100, dear friend." Maple nodded and closed her eyes, her tail curling comfortably around her paws as she began to count in a peaceful rhythm. Cotton hopped quietly through the forest, passing beneath drooping ferns that whispered sweet nothings in the evening air. The rabbit found a cozy spot beneath an old oak tree, where fallen leaves had made a soft, crackling blanket. Settling down, Cotton watched the stars beginning to twinkle overhead through gaps in the leafy canopy. Meanwhile, Maple counted with peaceful patience, feeling the cool evening air brush against her fur. When she reached 100, she opened her eyes and gazed at the tranquil forest around her. The moon cast long, gentle shadows that danced slowly across the ground, and crickets had begun their soothing evening symphony. Maple padded softly through the forest, taking her time to enjoy the peaceful evening. She paused to admire how the moonlight made dewdrops sparkle like tiny stars on spiderwebs, and how the evening flowers released their sweet, sleepy fragrance into the air. As she searched, Maple remembered all the places where Cotton liked to rest during their afternoon walks. She checked behind the smooth gray boulders covered in velvet moss, and beneath the drooping branches of the weeping willow tree where they often shared stories. Cotton watched through half-closed eyes as Maple moved gracefully through the forest. The rabbit felt so cozy in the nest of leaves that a peaceful yawn escaped. The gentle rustling of the leaves above was like a lullaby, and the soft earth beneath was as comfortable as any bed. Maple continued her peaceful search, pausing now and then to listen to the forest's nighttime sounds. She heard the gentle hooting of an owl settling into its tree, and the soft patter of pine needles falling to the ground. The fox took deep, calm breaths, enjoying the sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine. After what seemed like a dreamy forever, Maple's keen nose caught Cotton's familiar scent near the old oak tree. She approached quietly, not wanting to startle her friend. There, in a perfect nest of leaves, she found Cotton curled up in a peaceful ball, having dozed off while waiting to be found. Maple smiled softly at her sleeping friend. Instead of waking Cotton, she gathered some soft moss and gently placed it around the sleeping rabbit like a cozy blanket. Then she settled down nearby, curling her tail around herself and watching the stars twinkle through the leaves. As the night deepened, more stars appeared in the velvety sky above. The forest grew quieter, with only the occasional gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. Maple felt her own eyes growing heavy as she watched over her sleeping friend. A shooting star streaked across the sky, leaving a trail of silver light that seemed to sprinkle stardust over the peaceful scene. Maple made a quiet wish for many more gentle evenings like this one, sharing the forest's tranquility with her dearest friend. The moon continued its slow journey across the sky, casting its soft light over the two friends. Other forest creatures who passed by saw the fox and rabbit sleeping peacefully near each other and smiled at this picture of perfect friendship. As dawn approached, the earliest birds began their soft morning songs, and the sky slowly lightened to the palest shade of blue. Cotton awakened gently to find the moss blanket around them, and Maple sleeping nearby. The rabbit smiled, knowing that sometimes the best part of hide and seek wasn't being found, but having such a caring friend to play with. From that night on, whenever Cotton and Maple played hide and seek in the evening forest, they would often end up falling asleep under the stars, sharing the peaceful darkness and each other's quiet company. And as they drifted off to sleep, the forest would wrap them in its gentle embrace, watching over them until morning's first light touched the treetops once again. The stars continued their twinkling dance overhead. The moon smiled down at the sleeping friends, and all was peaceful in the nighttime forest, where a simple game of hide and seek had turned into the most perfect bedtime story of all. In a peaceful forest where the trees whispered softly in the evening breeze, there lived a tiny ant named Pip and a magnificent elephant named Luna. Pip was the smallest ant in his colony, while Luna was the gentlest elephant anyone had ever known. Despite their enormous difference in size, they shared the sweetest friendship that brought joy to all the forest creatures. One warm evening, as the golden sun was setting and painting the sky in soft shades of pink and purple, Pip was resting on a smooth, round pebble near the old oak tree. Luna came walking by, her footsteps as gentle as falling leaves. She carefully settled down beside her tiny friend, creating a soft breeze with her long, silky ears. "What shall we do this lovely evening?" Luna asked in her kind, quiet voice that always reminded Pip of warm honey dripping slowly from a spoon. The little ant thought for a moment, watching the fireflies beginning to dance in the growing twilight. "Perhaps we could play hide and seek," suggested Pip. "The forest is so peaceful at this time, and the evening shadows would make wonderful hiding places." Luna's eyes twinkled like stars as she nodded in agreement. "That sounds wonderful," she whispered. "Would you like to hide first, dear friend?" Pip nodded happily, and Luna closed her eyes, counting ever so slowly. 1, 2, 3. Her gentle counting floated through the air like soft petals in a spring breeze. While Luna counted, Pip scurried about, looking for the perfect hiding spot. He passed by a patch of sweet-smelling violets, crawled under a blanket of fallen leaves, and finally found a cozy spot inside a curved mushroom cap. The forest was growing quieter as night creatures began to wake, and day creatures settled down to rest. "Ready or not, here I come," Luna called out softly, her voice carrying through the evening air like a lullaby. She moved with incredible grace for such a large animal, carefully placing each foot to avoid disturbing any of the forest's smaller residents. Luna looked behind the old oak tree, peeked under ferns that swayed gently in the evening breeze, and checked near the babbling brook where water trickled softly over smooth stones. All the while, Pip watched from his mushroom hideaway, feeling snug and content. The moon rose higher in the sky, casting silver light through the leaves and creating peaceful patterns on the forest floor. Luna continued her careful search, checking each flower and leaf with patience and care. Finally, she noticed a tiny giggle coming from the mushroom patch. "Could my dear friend be hiding under this lovely mushroom?" Luna asked softly, her trunk gently touching the cap where Pip was hiding. The little ant emerged, laughing quietly. "What a clever hiding spot," Luna praised, her eyes twinkling with joy. Now it was Pip's turn to count, while Luna looked for a hiding place. The tiny ant closed his eyes and counted slowly, feeling the cool evening air brush against his antennae. 1, 2, 3. Each number was like a soft musical note in the quiet forest. When Pip opened his eyes, he began his search for his enormous friend. Of course, Luna was not very hard to find. She had tried to hide behind a young maple tree, but her gentle gray sides peeked out on both sides. Still, Pip took his time, pretending to look in all sorts of places. He checked under leaves and behind stones, in flower patches and near the stream. All the while, Luna tried her best to stay still, though sometimes her trunk would sway gently, or she would let out a tiny, happy rumble. Finally, Pip approached the maple tree. "I wonder if my dear friend Luna might be behind this tree," he called out softly. Luna stepped out, her eyes filled with warmth and joy. "You found me," she whispered, careful not to disturb the evening peace. As they played a few more rounds, their movements became slower and more peaceful. The forest grew quieter around them, with only the soft hooting of owls and the gentle rustle of leaves in the night breeze. Luna's hiding places became easier to find, and Pip's searches became sleepier. After one final round, Luna noticed her tiny friend yawning. She carefully lowered her trunk to the ground, creating a perfect curved path for Pip to climb up. "Perhaps it's time for us to rest," she suggested softly. Pip nodded sleepily and crawled onto her trunk. Luna carried her dear friend back to the ant colony, moving as smoothly as a cloud drifting across the night sky. The stars twinkled above them like countless fireflies, and the moon cast its gentle silver light upon the peaceful forest. As they reached Pip's home, Luna carefully lowered her trunk. "Thank you for a wonderful evening, my friend," she whispered. Pip smiled sleepily and waved his tiny antennae. "Sweet dreams, Luna," he murmured, before disappearing into his cozy home. Luna walked slowly back to her own resting place, her heart full of happiness from the simple joy of playing with her friend. The forest settled into its nighttime quiet, with all its creatures drifting off to sleep under the watchful gaze of the moon and stars. And so ended another peaceful day in the forest, where the unlikely friendship between the tiniest ant and the largest elephant showed that the sweetest connections can form between the most different of friends, especially when hearts are gentle and kind. In a cozy cottage nestled among rolling green hills, there lived a kind-hearted boy named Jack with his mother. Their home was small but filled with love, and every evening they would sit together by the warm fireplace, sharing stories and dreams beneath their favorite patchwork quilt. One peaceful morning, as gentle sunbeams filtered through the cottage windows, Jack's mother gave him their last possession to trade at the village market, their beloved cow, who had been part of their family for many years. The cow was gentle and sweet, with soft brown eyes and a coat as white as morning frost. As Jack walked along the winding country path, the morning dew sparkled on the grass like tiny stars. He met a kind elderly woman who offered him something special in exchange for the cow, a handful of beautiful beans that shimmed with rainbow colors in the sunlight. They looked like precious gems, each one unique and filled with possibility. That night, Jack planted the beans in their garden under the silvery light of the moon. He covered them with soft, dark earth and whispered gentle words of encouragement. As he drifted off to sleep that night, the stars twinkled through his window like nature's own nightlight. When morning came, Jack awoke to find something magical had happened during the night. A beautiful beanstalk had grown, reaching up through the misty morning clouds. Its leaves were soft and velvety, in the most soothing shade of green imaginable. The stalk itself seemed to glow with a gentle, inviting light. Feeling peaceful and curious, Jack began to climb. The beanstalk was surprisingly comfortable, like climbing a natural ladder made just for him. As he ascended, soft clouds brushed against his face like cotton candy, and butterflies with rainbow wings fluttered peacefully around him. Higher and higher he climbed, until he reached a magnificent floating garden in the sky. The clouds formed soft pathways beneath his feet, and everywhere he looked, there were beautiful flowers that seemed to sing quiet lullabies in the breeze. The air was warm and sweet, carrying the gentle scent of vanilla and honey. In this magical place, Jack discovered a grand castle made of clouds and morning light. Inside lived a very tall person, someone Jack would come to know as the Sky Guardian. Though immense in size, the Sky Guardian had kind eyes and a warm smile that made Jack feel safe and welcome. The Sky Guardian was lonely and delighted to have a visitor. He showed Jack his collection of wonderful things, a harp that played the most soothing melodies all by itself, and a special hen that laid eggs made of stardust. These magical items helped tend to the floating garden and keep the sky peaceful for everyone below. Jack visited the Sky Guardian many times, climbing the beanstalk when the moon was full and the stars were bright. They would share stories and watch shooting stars together, while the magical harp played soft, dreamy tunes that floated down to earth on evening breezes. The Sky Guardian taught Jack about tending to the floating garden, showing him how to care for clouds and plant star seeds that would bloom into constellations. Jack, in turn, shared stories about life on the ground, about his mother's wonderful cooking, and about the simple joys of village life. As their friendship grew, the Sky Guardian gave Jack some of his magical seeds and taught him how to grow his own special garden. Back home, Jack and his mother planted these seeds in their garden, and soon they had beautiful flowers that glowed softly at night and vegetables that tasted like sweet dreams. The beanstalk became a bridge between two worlds, and Jack's life was forever changed, not by gold or riches, but by friendship and magic. His mother's garden flourished with the Sky Guardian's gifts, providing more than enough food for them to share with the entire village. Every evening, as the sun set and the moon rose, the magical harp's melody would drift down the beanstalk, carrying sweet dreams to all the children in the village. The gentle music helped everyone drift into peaceful sleep, filled with wonderful dreams of floating gardens and friendly giants. Years passed like peaceful clouds drifting across the sky. Jack grew older, but he never forgot his friend in the floating garden. He taught his own children how to climb the beanstalk safely, and they too learned about tending to sky gardens and caring for cloud flowers. The beanstalk remained, growing stronger and more beautiful with each passing season. It became known as a bridge of dreams, connecting the earth to the sky and reminding everyone that the most precious treasures are the gentle moments we share with friends, both big and small. And so, as the stars twinkle overhead and the moon casts its silver light, remember that somewhere up there, in a garden among the clouds, the Sky Guardian tends to his magical flowers, sending sweet dreams down the beanstalk to all those ready to close their eyes and drift into peaceful sleep. As you lie here now, imagine the soft music of the magical harp, carrying you gently toward your own beautiful dreams, where beanstalks reach through clouds and friendly giants tend gardens in the sky. Let your thoughts float peacefully like soft clouds, drifting slowly into sweet, restful sleep. In a peaceful garden where morning sunbeams gently touched the flowers, there lived a tiny hummingbird named Luna. Her feathers sparkled like drops of morning dew, shimmering in soft shades of emerald and ruby. Each morning, as the first light painted the sky in gentle pink and gold, Luna would wake in her downy nest, woven from the softest cotton and spider silk. The garden where Luna lived was a place of endless wonder and tranquility. Soft purple bellflowers swayed in the gentle breeze, their delicate petals creating little shelters for morning dewdrops. Sweet honeysuckle vines climbed up old wooden trellises, their golden flowers offering precious nectar. Red trumpet flowers nodded peacefully in the morning light, waiting to share their sweet gifts with Luna. As Luna stretched her tiny wings, she felt the warm morning air embrace her. Her wings moved in a gentle figure-8 pattern, so smooth and peaceful that they almost seemed to be dancing with the morning breeze. Hover, sip, hover, sip. This was Luna's gentle morning dance, as natural as the rising sun. A wise old butterfly named Iris often watched Luna's morning routine. Iris's wings were the color of twilight, decorated with patterns that looked like sleeping moons and peaceful stars. "Little Luna," Iris would say softly, "you move like a dream through the morning air." Luna would smile, her tiny heart beating in a calm, steady rhythm. Throughout the peaceful morning, Luna visited her favorite flowers one by one. First, the morning glories, their purple and blue petals unfurling like gentle waves. Then the soft pink cosmos flowers, bobbing their heads in a sleepy morning greeting. Each flower offered Luna a sweet sip of nectar, a gift freely given in the quiet of the dawn. In the afternoon, when the sun warmed the garden just right, Luna would find a cozy spot near the climbing roses to rest. She would watch the gentle dance of butterflies and listen to the soft humming of bumblebees as they visited the flowers. The garden was filled with friends, each moving at their own peaceful pace through the lazy afternoon hours. Sometimes, Luna would meet her friend Oliver, a gentle young oriole who loved to sing quiet songs about the garden. His melodies were soft and sweet, like lullabies carried on the afternoon breeze. Luna would hover nearby, her wings moving in perfect harmony with Oliver's gentle tunes. As the afternoon slowly drifted toward evening, Luna would visit the evening primrose, whose pale yellow flowers opened so softly it seemed like they were yawning. These flowers saved their sweetness for the quiet hours when the sun began to sink toward the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of lavender and rose. When the evening air grew cool and gentle, Luna would visit the night-blooming jasmine, whose white flowers glowed like tiny stars in the gathering dusk. Their sweet fragrance filled the air with dreams, making Luna's wings feel heavy with contentment. The garden grew quiet as day creatures settled down to rest, and night creatures began their gentle evening songs. As stars began to appear in the velvet sky, Luna would make her way back to her cozy nest. She would pass by sleeping flowers, their petals closed like tiny children tucked into bed. The moonflowers would be opening their pure white blooms, offering one last sweet sip of nectar before bedtime. In her nest, Luna would settle down among the soft fibers and downy feathers she had collected. She would think about all the peaceful moments of her day, the gentle sway of flowers, the soft songs of her friends, the sweet nectar she had tasted. Her tiny heart would slow to a restful pace, matching the peaceful rhythm of the night garden. The moon would rise, casting silver light through the leaves, creating patterns like peaceful dreams on the garden floor. Luna would close her eyes, feeling safe and warm in her little nest. The gentle night breeze would rock her nest ever so slightly, like a mother rocking a cradle. As Luna drifted off to sleep, she could hear the soft whisper of owl wings in the distance and the quiet rustling of leaves in the night air. The garden was entering its nighttime peace, where everything moved in slow, gentle rhythms. Even the stars seemed to twinkle in a peaceful, sleepy pattern. And so, another peaceful day in the garden would come to an end, with Luna sleeping soundly in her cozy nest, dreaming of tomorrow's gentle adventures among the flowers. In the quiet of the night garden, everything was still and peaceful, waiting for another beautiful dawn to slowly paint the sky in soft colors once again. In a peaceful corner of the whispering forest, where soft golden sunlight filtered through the leaves, lived two very special friends. One was a small chipmunk named Nutkin, with the softest brown fur and tiny paws that loved to gather acorns. The other was a gentle bunny called Clover, whose fluffy white tail bobbed gracefully as she hopped through meadows of swaying flowers. On this particular afternoon, as butterflies danced lazily through warm summer air, Nutkin and Clover decided to play a quiet game of hide and seek. The forest was perfect for their gentle adventure, filled with cozy hiding spots beneath drooping ferns and behind weathered tree trunks wrapped in velvet moss. Clover offered to be the seeker first. She covered her eyes with her long, soft ears and began counting in her gentle voice. 1 acorn, 2 acorns, 3 acorns, she whispered, while Nutkin tiptoed away on his tiny paws, looking for the perfect hiding place. The little chipmunk scampered quietly through patches of warm sunlight that felt like soft blankets on his fur. He passed by clusters of nodding wildflowers and patches of sweet-smelling clover. Finally, he found a cozy spot beneath an old maple tree where fallen leaves had made a soft, crinkly nest. Ready or not, Clover called softly, her voice carrying on the gentle breeze like a lullaby. She moved slowly through the forest, her pink nose twitching as she searched for her friend. The afternoon sun painted everything in warm, golden hues, making the forest feel like a dreamy wonderland. Clover looked behind a patch of swaying ferns, their delicate fronds dancing in the breeze. She peeked inside a hollow log covered in soft green moss. All around her, the forest whispered its secrets. The gentle rustle of leaves, the soft sighing of the wind, the distant melody of a sleepy songbird. Nutkin watched from his hiding spot as Clover passed nearby, her long ears swaying gently like cattails in a summer breeze. He tried very hard to stay still, but a tiny sneeze was building in his nose from the sweet-smelling flowers around him. Achoo! Came the tiniest sneeze, making a few leaves flutter. Clover's ears perked up at the sound, and she smiled softly. Following the sound, she discovered Nutkin curled up in his leafy nest. "Found you," she whispered, with a gentle giggle that sounded like tinkling bells. Nutkin emerged from his hiding spot, brushing soft leaves from his fur. Now it was Nutkin's turn to seek. He covered his eyes with his tiny paws and began counting. 1 flower, 2 flowers, 3 flowers, he murmured, while Clover hopped away as quietly as she could, leaving barely a trace in the soft grass. The forest seemed to grow even more peaceful as Nutkin searched for his friend. He passed by a family of mushrooms growing in a perfect circle, their caps like tiny umbrellas, protecting the soft earth below. He walked carefully around a patch of sleeping dandelions, their white puffs swaying ever so gently in the afternoon air. High above, clouds drifted lazily across the sky, casting soft shadows that danced slowly through the trees. The warm afternoon was beginning to fade into a drowsy evening, and the forest was growing quieter, as if preparing for sleep. Nutkin found Clover curled up beneath a canopy of purple wildflowers, her white fur blending with the soft petals that surrounded her. They both smiled sleepily, realizing how the gentle game had made them feel wonderfully drowsy. "Shall we rest here for a while?" Clover suggested, patting the soft grass beside her. Nutkin nodded, his eyes already growing heavy. He curled up next to his friend, and together they watched as the sky turned soft shades of pink and purple. The forest continued its gentle lullaby around them, the soft whisper of leaves, the distant call of a mother dove, the quiet rustling of evening creatures beginning their nightly routines. A cool, gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of sleeping flowers. As the stars began to appear like tiny silver buttons in the darkening sky, Nutkin and Clover felt their eyes growing heavier and heavier. The day's gentle game had been perfect, filled with friendship and peaceful moments in their beloved forest home. The moon rose slowly, casting its soft silver light through the trees, creating patterns like delicate lace on the forest floor. Nutkin and Clover snuggled closer, their breathing becoming slow and steady. The forest wrapped them in its peaceful embrace as they drifted off to sleep, dreaming of their wonderful day of hide-and-seek. And so, beneath the watchful eyes of the twinkling stars and the gentle glow of the moon, 2 friends slept peacefully in their forest home, surrounded by the soft sounds of nature's lullaby. The evening breeze continued its gentle song, carrying dreams of future adventures through the quiet forest, where every day brought new opportunities for friendship and joy in the simplest of games. In a faraway valley, nestled between rolling hills covered in soft purple heather, there lived a very special dragon named Jasper. Unlike other dragons who lived in dark caves, Jasper made his home in a cozy meadow filled with fluffy dandelions and sweet-smelling lavender. His scales weren't fierce or frightening at all. They were a peaceful shade of pastel blue, like the morning sky just before sunrise. Jasper had the most peculiar habit. When he slept, which was quite often, he would snore. But his snoring wasn't loud or harsh. Instead, it sounded like gentle wind chimes dancing in a summer breeze. The soft musical notes would float through the valley, bringing comfort to all who heard them. The woodland creatures who lived nearby had grown to love Jasper's melodic snoring. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of pink and gold, they would gather near his meadow. Rabbits would snuggle into the tall grass. Deer would rest their heads on patches of moss, and birds would settle into the branches of nearby trees. all waiting for Jasper's peaceful lullaby. One particularly lovely evening, as stars began to twinkle like tiny diamonds in the velvet sky, something unusual happened. Jasper, who normally slept through the night, opened his eyes. The gentle sound of his snoring faded away, and the valley fell silent. The woodland creatures stirred, wondering what had awakened their musical friend. A warm smile spread across Jasper's face as he looked around at all his friends who had gathered to listen to his sleepy songs. He had never known that his snoring brought such comfort to others. His heart felt as warm as sunshine on a spring morning. "My dear friends," Jasper whispered softly, his voice as gentle as falling flower petals. "I had no idea you enjoyed my sleeping songs so much." His eyes sparkled with joy as he gazed at the gathered animals, each one looking back at him with affection. A wise old owl named Luna glided down from her perch and landed beside Jasper. "Your songs help us all find peaceful dreams," she cooed softly. "They remind us that the night is a time for rest and gentle thoughts." Jasper felt touched by Luna's words. He had always been a bit self-conscious about his snoring, but now he understood it was a gift, a way to help others find comfort and rest. As the moon rose higher in the sky, casting its silver light across the meadow, Jasper settled back down among the flowers. The woodland creatures snuggled closer, ready for their nightly ritual. Jasper closed his eyes, and soon the familiar, soothing melody of his snoring began to fill the air once again. The sound drifted through the valley like a lullaby carried on clouds. It whispered through the leaves of ancient trees, danced with the evening mist, and wrapped around each creature like a warm, cozy blanket. Some nights, when the moon was especially bright, the valley would fill with a soft, silvery glow that seemed to make Jasper's snoring even more magical. On these nights, dewdrops would gather on spider webs and flower petals, creating tiny mirrors that reflected the moonlight and made the meadow sparkle like a field of stars. As time passed, word spread about the dragon, whose snoring brought sweet dreams. Animals from distant parts of the forest would journey to Jasper's meadow, seeking the peaceful rest that his gentle songs provided. Even on the coldest winter nights, when snowflakes fell like tiny feathers from the sky, creatures would huddle together near Jasper, kept warm by his presence and lulled to sleep by his tranquil melody. Jasper learned that sometimes the things that make us different are actually our greatest gifts. His unique way of sleeping had created a special place where all creatures could find rest and comfort together. As our story draws to a close, imagine yourself in Jasper's peaceful meadow. Feel the soft grass beneath you. Listen to the gentle rhythm of his snoring floating through the air like a sweet lullaby. Let your thoughts become as light as clouds, drifting across the evening sky. The stars above twinkle their approval as Jasper's soothing song continues through the night, bringing peaceful dreams to all who hear it. And if you listen carefully, on quiet nights when the wind is still, you might just hear the gentle melody of a sleeping dragon, inviting you to join him in the land of dreams. Now close your eyes and let Jasper's peaceful song carry you to your own sweet dreams, where gentle dragons soar through soft clouds, and the moon spreads its silver light across a quiet world filled with wonder and rest. High up in the beautiful sky, where fluffy clouds drift like soft cotton pillows, lived the bright and caring sun. Every day, the sun shared warmth and light, with all the creatures of the world. But just like all of us, the sun needed rest too. As evening approached, the sun began to feel sleepy after a long day of shining. Golden rays stretched across the sky like gentle arms reaching out for a warm hug. The time had come for the sun's special bedtime routine. First, the sun wrapped the sky in beautiful colors, painting everything in soft shades of pink and orange. This was the sun's way of saying goodnight to all the flowers in the meadows, who slowly closed their delicate petals. The daisies nodded their sleepy heads, and the roses wrapped themselves in their green leaf blankets. The sun smiled warmly as the little birds flew back to their cozy nests. Mother birds sang sweet lullabies to their babies, while the gentle evening breeze carried the peaceful melodies across the quiet forests. The trees swayed softly, their leaves whispering peaceful bedtime stories. In the peaceful pond below, the water lilies closed their blossoms, and the friendly frogs began their evening song. The sun watched as the ducks tucked their heads under their wings, ready for peaceful dreams. Even the busy bees returned to their hives, tired after gathering sweet nectar all day long. The sun had a special friend named Cloud, who helped with the bedtime routine every evening. Cloud would bring soft, fluffy blankets of mist to wrap around the mountains, making sure everything felt cozy and safe. Together, the sun and Cloud created beautiful sunset patterns that danced slowly across the evening sky. As the sun moved lower in the sky, warm golden light touched the tops of the tall mountains, giving them a gentle goodnight kiss. The snow on the highest peaks sparkled softly, like twinkling stars beginning to wake from their daytime rest. The deer in the forest found their favorite sleeping spots under the old oak trees. Rabbits hopped back to their burrows, and squirrels curled up in their tree homes. The sun smiled at all the woodland creatures preparing for bedtime, just like the sun was doing. The gentle light now turned a peaceful shade of purple, spreading across the sky like a cozy blanket. The sun watched as children in their homes began their own bedtime routines, putting on soft pajamas, brushing their teeth, and listening to bedtime stories. In the meadows, the fireflies began their peaceful dance, carrying their tiny lanterns to light the way for any creatures still finding their way home. The crickets started their sweet evening lullaby, a soft and steady song that made everything feel peaceful and calm. The sun's eyes began to feel heavy, just like yours might feel now. It was time for the final part of the bedtime routine. The moon, who had been waiting patiently, came to take over the night watch. The moon was like a gentle nightlight, keeping everything safe while the sun rested. As the sun slowly drifted lower and lower, the first stars appeared, twinkling like tiny silver bells in the darkening sky. They were like little nightlights, warming up to watch over the world while the sun slept. The clouds gathered around the sun like a soft, fluffy pillow, ready to catch the last warm rays of the day. The sun gave one final, sleepy smile to the world below. Everything was peaceful now. The flowers were sleeping, the birds were quiet, and all the animals were tucked away in their homes. The gentle evening wind sang a soft lullaby, carrying dreams on its peaceful breath. The sun felt more and more relaxed, drifting slowly toward the horizon. The sky turned deeper shades of blue, like a cozy blanket being pulled up higher and higher. Just before settling down completely, the sun whispered goodnight to all the sleeping flowers, the dreaming animals, and the children in their beds. The last rays of sunlight touched the clouds, turning them into soft pillows of pink and gold. Finally, wrapped in clouds, like a warm, downy blanket, the sun closed its tired eyes. The moon smiled gently, watching over the peaceful world below. The stars twinkled their quiet lullaby, and all was calm and still. The sun drifted into peaceful dreams, knowing that tomorrow would bring another beautiful day. But for now, it was time to rest, just like all the flowers, animals, and children below. The night was peaceful, quiet, and filled with sweet dreams, as everyone slept safely under the watchful eyes of the gentle moon and twinkling stars. In a peaceful forest where the moonlight painted silver patterns on the ground, there lived a wise old owl named Luna. She had the softest feathers that glowed like starlight, and her golden eyes held all the warmth of summer evenings. Every night, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle, Luna would awaken and prepare for her special evening ritual. Luna loved nothing more than sharing her gentle songs with all the woodland creatures who needed help falling asleep. Her voice was as soft as falling leaves and as soothing as gentle rain upon moss-covered stones. Each evening, she would spread her wings and glide silently through the forest, watching over her friends as they prepared for their nightly rest. On this particular evening, the moon was especially bright, casting a peaceful glow through the whispering leaves. Luna noticed her friend Benjamin, a young rabbit, still hopping about in the clover meadow. His eyes were wide, and his little nose twitched with leftover energy from the day. Luna floated down beside him, her wings making no sound as she landed on a nearby log. "Why are you still awake, little Benjamin?" Luna asked in her gentle, musical voice. "The crickets have already begun their evening lullaby." Benjamin's ears drooped slightly as he looked up at his wise friend. "I just can't seem to feel sleepy, Luna. The day was so wonderful. I don't want it to end." Luna smiled softly, understanding in her golden eyes. "The night has its own special magic," she whispered. "Would you like to hear about it?" Benjamin nodded eagerly, settling himself in the soft clover as Luna began to sing her special nighttime song. Her melody told of stars dancing in velvet skies, of moonbeams playing hide and seek between silver clouds, and of gentle breezes carrying sweet dreams to sleeping creatures. As she sang, other forest animals began to gather around. There was Sophie the squirrel, who had been restlessly arranging her acorns, and Oliver the young deer, whose eyes were already becoming heavy with sleep. Luna's song painted pictures of peaceful places in their minds. She sang of soft moss beds and warm burrows, of quiet streams flowing under starlight, and of friendly shadows that kept watch over sleeping friends. Her voice carried the essence of peace itself, like a warm blanket settling over the forest. As she continued her gentle song, Benjamin's hopping slowed, and he snuggled deeper into the clover. Sophie's busy paws became still, and Oliver's head nodded gently. Luna sang of the moon's gentle journey across the night sky, of how it watched over all the sleeping creatures below with its silver light. The wind joined Luna's song, rustling through the leaves with a soft whisper. The crickets added their gentle harmony, and even the stars seemed to twinkle in time with her melody. She sang of the peace that comes with nightfall, of how the forest holds its creatures safe and warm as they dream. Luna's song told of tomorrow's promises, of new adventures waiting after restful sleep, and of how the night wrapped everything in its gentle embrace. she reminded her friends that sleep was a beautiful gift, a time when their bodies could rest and their minds could dream of wonderful things. As her song continued, Luna noticed how Benjamin's breathing had become slow and steady, how Sophie had curled up into a fluffy ball, and how Oliver had found a soft bed of leaves beneath an old oak tree. Still, she kept singing, her voice growing softer and softer. She sang of peaceful gardens, where flowers nodded their sleepy heads, of quiet ponds, where water lilies dreamed beneath the stars, and of gentle clouds that drifted like soft sheep across the night sky. Her song carried messages of comfort and safety, reminding every creature that they were protected under the watchful eyes of the moon and stars. The night grew deeper, and Luna's song became as soft as falling snow. She sang of sweet dreams floating on moonbeams, of starlight tucking in each sleeping creature, and of how the night held them all in its gentle arms. Her melody wrapped around them like a cozy blanket, keeping them warm and safe until morning. As the last notes of her song floated away on the evening breeze, Luna looked around at her sleeping friends with satisfaction. Benjamin was curled up in a ball of soft fur, his ears gently twitching as he dreamed. Sophie's tail was wrapped around her like a fluffy blanket, and Oliver's breath came in peaceful sighs. Luna spread her wings and silently glided up to her favorite branch, where she could watch over her sleeping friends. The moon smiled down at the peaceful scene, its gentle light making everything glow with silver magic. The stars twinkled their approval, and the night wrapped everything in its soft, dark blanket. And as Luna settled onto her branch, she too began to feel sleepy. The forest was quiet now, filled only with the gentle sounds of peaceful breathing and soft cricket songs. She closed her golden eyes, knowing that tomorrow evening she would again share her special songs with her friends, helping them find their way to sweet dreams and peaceful sleep. The night continued its gentle journey, carrying all the sleeping creatures in its arms. And if you listened very carefully, you might still hear the echo of Luna's lullaby, floating on the evening breeze, bringing peaceful dreams to all. In a cozy little cottage at the edge of Whisperwood Forest lived a small, fluffy bunny named Luna. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of purple and pink, Luna would prepare for her special bedtime routine. Her favorite part was brushing her teeth, because that's when all her forest friends would gather at her window to join in the gentle ritual. Tonight, as Luna held her soft blue toothbrush, she heard a familiar tap at her window. There sat Oliver, the wise old owl, Sophie, the gentle squirrel, and Percy, the peaceful porcupine, all holding their own tiny toothbrushes made from the softest bristles of dandelions. "Welcome, my dear friends," Luna whispered softly, her voice as gentle as evening dew. "Shall we make our teeth sparkle like the stars above?" All her friends nodded with warm smiles, their eyes twinkling with joy. Luna squeezed a small drop of minty toothpaste onto her brush. It reminded her of the fresh, wild mint that grew near the babbling brook in springtime. The paste sparkled like morning frost on flower petals, and its scent was as refreshing as a cool breeze through pine needles. "Let's begin with our front teeth," Luna suggested, making small circles with her toothbrush. Her friends followed along, their movements synchronized like a peaceful dance. "Gentle circles, just like the morning mist swirling through our forest," she hummed. Together, they counted softly. 1, 2, 3. Like butterflies floating free. Their brushes moved in perfect harmony as they cleaned each tooth with care and patience. The sound of their soft brushing reminded Luna of leaves rustling in a tender breeze. Now for our back teeth, Luna guided, where the sweet berries like to hide. They all moved their brushes to reach their back teeth, imagining they were clearing away the remnants of the day's sweet treats. Back and forth, like gentle waves on a moonlit lake, she murmured. Sophie the squirrel demonstrated her special technique for reaching the inner sides of her teeth. Like cleaning the inside of an acorn home, she whispered, and everyone followed her example. Their brushes moved with the gentleness of flower petals falling on soft moss. Percy the porcupine showed them how to clean their tongue, explaining that it helps keep breath as fresh as morning dew. Softly, softly, he reminded them, like walking on clouds in a dream. Oliver the owl, with all his wisdom, reminded them to brush the tops of their teeth too. Like sweeping stardust from the evening sky, he hooted quietly. They all smiled as they imagined their toothbrushes collecting tiny stars. As they continued their peaceful brushing, Luna began to hum a gentle melody. It was a tune her mother had taught her, about moonbeams dancing on dewdrops and stars twinkling in the night sky. Her friends swayed gently to the peaceful rhythm. Remember to reach every tooth, Luna whispered, just as the moon reaches every corner of our forest at night. They moved their brushes carefully, making sure no tooth was left without its share of attention and care. The friends took their time, knowing that proper toothbrushing was like tending to a beautiful garden. It needed patience and gentle dedication. They brushed until every tooth felt as smooth as river stones and as clean as fresh snow. When it was time to rinse, they all took small sips of cool, clear water. Luna imagined it came from the crystal clear stream that flowed through the heart of Whisperwood Forest. They swished the water gently, like little waves in a peaceful pond. After spitting the water out, they all smiled at their reflections in Luna's mirror. Their teeth sparkled like dewdrops in the morning sun, and their mouths felt as fresh as a spring meadow. "Thank you for brushing with me, dear friends," Luna said softly, her heart full of warmth and gratitude. "Our teeth are now as clean as the stars above and as fresh as the morning breeze." Oliver the owl spread his wings in a gentle stretch. "Sweet dreams, little ones," he whispered. "May your sleep be as peaceful as our evening brush time together." Sophie the squirrel and Percy the porcupine waved goodbye with their tiny toothbrushes, their eyes heavy with sleepiness. Luna watched as her friends made their way back to their cozy homes in the forest, their paths lit by the gentle glow of fireflies. Luna placed her toothbrush in its special holder, shaped like a crescent moon. She felt clean, content, and ready for peaceful dreams. As she climbed into her soft bed, she could still taste the fresh mintiness in her mouth, reminding her of the lovely evening ritual she shared with her forest friends. The moon cast its gentle light through her window, and Luna snuggled deeper into her covers. Her teeth felt smooth and clean against her tongue, and her heart was full of joy from the time spent with her dear friends. As she drifted off to sleep, she looked forward to tomorrow evening, when they would all gather again for their special brushing time under the stars. In the gentle quiet of the night, Luna fell into sweet dreams of dancing toothbrushes, sparkling stars, and the warm smiles of her forest friends. knowing that tomorrow would bring another peaceful evening of caring for their teeth together. In a peaceful garden where morning dew sparkled like tiny stars, there lived a gentle chameleon named Charlie. He spent his quiet days resting on soft leaves and warm branches, changing his colors as softly as clouds, changing shapes in the evening sky. Charlie loved watching the garden's colors shift from morning pink to afternoon gold, and he could match them all with just a gentle thought. Not far from Charlie's favorite resting spot lived Preston, a beautiful peacock with feathers that shimmered like a rainbow caught in morning light. Preston would often walk through the garden, his elegant tail trailing behind him like a flowing river of colors. The morning sun would catch his feathers just so, creating little dancing lights that looked like stars fallen from the night sky. One peaceful morning, as golden sunlight filtered through the leaves and gentle breezes carried the sweet scent of flowers, Charlie and Preston met near the old willow tree. Its branches swayed ever so softly, like a mother gently rocking her child to sleep. The two friends began talking about colors and beauty, their voices mixing with the soft whispers of the leaves. "Dear Charlie," Preston said in his gentle voice, "I've watched you change your colors so beautifully. You can become as pink as the sunrise or as blue as the afternoon sky. Shall we have a friendly little contest to see who can show the most beautiful colors?" His voice was as soft as flower petals floating on a calm pond. Charlie, who was resting on a warm stone, smiled softly. "That sounds like a lovely idea, Preston," he replied, his voice as gentle as the morning mist. "We can make it a peaceful game, just for fun." The morning sun wrapped them both in its warm, golden embrace as they agreed to meet the next day. As the new day dawned, painting the sky in soft brush strokes of pink and lavender, Charlie and Preston gathered in a quiet meadow filled with nodding flowers. Butterflies danced lazily through the air, their wings catching the light like tiny stained glass windows. Other garden creatures came to watch, settling comfortably on soft patches of moss and sweet-smelling grass. Preston went first, spreading his magnificent tail in a gentle, flowing motion. It opened like a magical fan, revealing colors that seemed to flow one into another. Deep blues like midnight skies, greens like moss after spring rain, and purples like twilight clouds. Every movement was slow and graceful, like leaves dancing in a gentle breeze. Then it was Charlie's turn. He began to change his colors, slowly and softly, like watercolors blending on a canvas. First, he matched the pink of the morning sky, then the soft purple of nearby flowers, and then the gentle green of new spring leaves. Each change was as smooth as clouds, shifting shapes on a lazy afternoon. The garden creatures watched in peaceful wonder as both friends shared their gifts. The butterflies settled on nearby flowers, their wings gently opening and closing like tiny fans. Even the busy bees paused their collecting to watch, hovering quietly in the warm morning light. As the morning stretched into afternoon, something wonderful began to happen. Charlie and Preston started to realize that their different ways of showing colors were both beautiful in their own special way. Preston admired how Charlie could blend perfectly with every flower in the garden, while Charlie marveled at how Preston's colors always stayed true and bright. The old wise owl, who had been watching from his cozy spot in the willow tree, floated down on silent wings. His voice was as soft as moonlight when he spoke. "Dear friends, you have discovered something more precious than any contest. You have found that beauty comes in many different ways, just as the garden shows its colors in both the steady roses and the changing sky. Charlie and Preston looked at each other and smiled, understanding filling their hearts like warm sunshine. They decided that instead of having a winner, they would spend their days sharing their gifts with the garden. Preston would walk slowly through the flowers, his colors bringing joy to all who saw him, while Charlie would play gentle games with the young animals, helping them find peace in the art of blending with nature. From that day forward, the garden became an even more peaceful place. In the morning, you might see Charlie resting on a branch, his colors shifting softly with the changing light, while Preston walked serenely among the flowers, his tail flowing like a gentle stream of living colors. Together, they made the garden a place where everyone could find beauty in their own special way. As evening approached, casting long, soft shadows through the trees, Charlie and Preston would often meet under the willow tree. They would watch the sunset paint the sky in gentle colors, each appreciating how the other saw and shared the beauty around them. The garden would grow quiet, with only the soft whisper of leaves and the gentle evening breeze to break the peaceful silence. And so, as stars began to twinkle in the velvet sky like distant diamonds, the garden would settle into its nighttime rest, content in knowing that tomorrow would bring another day of gentle colors and peaceful friendship. The moon would cast its silver light over the sleeping flowers, while Charlie and Preston dreamed of all the beautiful colors they would share again when the sun rose on another peaceful morning in their magical garden. In a cozy burrow beneath an old oak tree lived a small bunny named Cotton. Cotton's fur was as soft as morning clouds, and his heart was as warm as summer sunshine. Every evening, before settling into his nest of dried leaves and downy feathers, Cotton would carefully brush his teeth with his favorite purple toothbrush. One peaceful evening, as the golden sun was setting and painting the sky in gentle shades of pink and orange, something magical happened. Cotton's toothbrush began to sparkle with a soft, silvery light. Tiny stars seemed to dance around its bristles, twinkling like dewdrops in the morning light. "Hello, Cotton," whispered the toothbrush in a voice as gentle as a spring breeze. "I'm Marina, the Tooth Fairy's special helper. Would you like to join me on a peaceful adventure through the forest?" Cotton nodded softly, his ears swaying gently like flowers in a summer meadow. Together, Cotton and Marina floated out of the burrow, carried by a warm, gentle breeze. The forest was quiet and peaceful, with moonlight filtering through the leaves, creating patterns of silver light on the soft moss below. Fireflies danced slowly through the air, their gentle lights blinking like tiny stars. As they drifted along, they came upon a young deer who was having trouble sleeping. "My teeth feel uncomfortable," the deer whispered sadly. Marina glowed with a soft, comforting light. "We can help you," she said kindly. Cotton showed the deer how to brush properly, using gentle, circular motions, just as his mother had taught him. The deer's eyes grew heavy with contentment as Marina's magic helped soothe his teeth. "Thank you," he murmured sleepily, settling down in a bed of soft ferns. Cotton and Marina continued their journey, floating past ancient trees whose branches swayed gently in the evening breeze. They met a family of hedgehogs who were preparing for bed, and Cotton shared his knowledge about taking care of their tiny teeth. Marina's magical light helped them see how to brush even their smallest teeth properly. The hedgehogs curled up contentedly, their peaceful breathing joining the gentle symphony of nighttime sounds. As they floated higher, they could see the entire forest bathed in moonlight. Below them, owls glided silently between the trees, and crickets sang their soft lullaby. The stars above twinkled like diamonds scattered across a velvet sky, each one seeming to whisper sweet dreams to the forest below. Near a bubbling stream, they found a group of otters who were learning about keeping their teeth clean. Cotton and Marina showed them how important it was to brush after eating, and the otters practiced with smooth river pebbles, guided by Marina's gentle, magical light. The night air grew cooler, and Cotton felt his own eyes growing heavy. Marina noticed and said in her soft voice, "It's time to return home, dear friend. You've helped so many animals tonight." They drifted back toward Cotton's burrow, carried by a carpet of moonbeams and starlight. As they floated, they saw all the animals they had helped, now sleeping peacefully in their homes. The deer was dreaming under his fern canopy. The hedgehogs were snuggled together in their nest, and the otters were curled up by the stream, their teeth clean and bright. Back in his burrow, Cotton settled into his soft nest. Marina's light grew dimmer, more soothing. "Thank you for helping me teach others about taking care of their teeth," she whispered. "Every night, when you brush your teeth, remember our peaceful journey through the forest." Cotton's eyes grew heavier as Marina's light became as soft as starlight through morning mist. He thought about all the friendly animals they had met, all sleeping soundly in their forest homes. The gentle sound of leaves rustling outside his burrow reminded him of Marina's peaceful voice. As Cotton drifted off to sleep, he felt Marina return to her toothbrush form, still glowing faintly with magical starlight. The forest outside grew quieter, with only the gentle hooting of a distant owl and the soft whisper of wind through the trees. In his dreams, Cotton floated once again through the moonlit forest, surrounded by twinkling fireflies and gentle starlight. He dreamed of helping more forest friends learn about taking care of their teeth, all while being carried by warm, gentle breezes through the peaceful night sky. And so, Cotton slept peacefully in his cozy burrow, his purple toothbrush glowing softly beside him, while the forest night wrapped everything in its gentle, dark blanket. The stars continued their slow dance across the sky, watching over all the sleeping animals below, each one dreaming sweet dreams of magical adventures and kind friends who helped them learn and In a cozy little house at the edge of a peaceful garden lived a very special toothbrush named Brushy Blue. Unlike other toothbrushes, Brushy Blue had two wonderful gifts. When nighttime came, he would glow with a soft, gentle light just like a firefly, and he could whisper the sweetest lullabies anyone had ever heard. Brushy Blue belonged to a little girl named Luna, who had the most beautiful smile in all the world. Every evening, as the sun would slowly sink behind the fluffy clouds and the stars would begin to twinkle in the velvet sky, Luna would get ready for bed by visiting her friend Brushy Blue in the bathroom. The bathroom was a peaceful place, with soft pastel tiles that reminded Luna of seashells on a quiet beach. A little window let in the silvery moonlight, making everything feel magical and dreamy. Brushy Blue would wait patiently in his special holder, shaped like a crescent moon, until Luna came to say goodnight to her teeth. when Luna would reach for Brushy Blue, he would begin to glow with the gentlest blue light imaginable. It wasn't bright or harsh, but soft and comforting, like the way moonlight looks when it dances on calm water. The light would make Luna feel safe and peaceful, reminding her of summer evenings spent watching fireflies dance in the garden. As Luna would squeeze a small drop of mint toothpaste onto Brushy Blue's bristles, he would begin to hum ever so softly. The tune was always gentle and sweet, like a mother's lullaby carried on a warm summer breeze. Sometimes it sounded like floating clouds, other times like butterflies dancing among flowers, but it always made Luna feel warm and cozy inside. While Luna brushed her teeth, Brushy Blue would sing his special toothbrushing song, helping her remember to clean every tooth carefully and gently. Round and round, up and down, caring for each pearly crown, he would whisper in his soothing voice. The song would echo softly in Luna's mind, making the whole experience feel like a peaceful bedtime ritual rather than a task. Every night, Brushy Blue would tell Luna stories about the Tooth Kingdom while she brushed. He spoke of the brave cavity-fighting knights who protected beautiful tooth castles, and the gentle floss fairies who danced between teeth, spreading their cleaning magic. His stories were always calm and peaceful, never scary or exciting, just perfect for bedtime. The bathroom mirror would reflect Brushy Blue's gentle glow, creating little patterns of light that danced slowly on the ceiling like sleeping stars. These twinkling lights would move in perfect harmony with his lullabies, creating a magical atmosphere that made Luna feel more and more sleepy with each passing moment. After 2 minutes of gentle brushing, which felt like floating on a soft cloud, Brushy Blue's song would slowly fade into a peaceful whisper. Luna would rinse her mouth with water that felt as soft as morning dew, and Brushy Blue would give her a final, gentle glow of approval. Sometimes, on especially quiet nights, Luna would tell Brushy Blue about her day. She would share stories about the butterflies she saw in the garden, or the gentle breeze that made the flowers dance. Brushy Blue would listen carefully, his soft blue light pulsing gently like a heartbeat, showing that he understood every word. As Luna would place Brushy Blue back in his crescent moon holder, he would begin a special bedtime lullaby. This song was the softest and most peaceful of all, filled with dreams of floating clouds, gentle rainbows, and soft moonlight. The melody would follow Luna as she walked to her bedroom, helping her feel ready for sleep. In Luna's dreams, Brushy Blue would sometimes appear as a gentle guardian of good dreams, his soft blue light keeping away any unwanted thoughts. He would float through her dreams like a friendly star, spreading peace and comfort wherever he went. Other toothbrushes in the neighborhood would sometimes wonder about the gentle blue glow that came from Luna's bathroom window each night. They would see the peaceful light and hear the whispered lullabies and feel a little bit sleepier themselves. Some said that on very quiet nights, they could even catch a few words of Brushy Blue's gentle songs. Every morning, Luna would wake up feeling refreshed and happy, knowing that when evening came again, she would get to spend more peaceful moments with her special friend. Brushy Blue would wait patiently through the day, storing up new lullabies and gentle stories to share. And so it went, night after night, in the cozy little house at the edge of the peaceful garden. Luna and Brushy Blue shared their magical bedtime routine, creating moments of peace and comfort that would last in Luna's heart forever. Each evening brought new soft songs and gentle glows, helping Luna drift off to sleep with clean teeth and happy dreams. As the stars would twinkle their own sleepy song and the moon would smile down on the quiet world below, Brushy Blue's gentle glow would slowly fade until morning, keeping watch over Luna's dreams like a faithful friend. And in the peaceful darkness, all was calm, all was well, and all was ready for another beautiful tomorrow. In a peaceful forest where the sunbeams danced softly through the leaves, there lived a small bunny named Thistle. Thistle had the softest gray fur that sparkled like morning dew, and the gentlest heart that always saw the good in others. His favorite place in the whole forest was his cozy burrow beneath an old oak tree, where he would spend quiet afternoons sipping chamomile tea and watching butterflies drift by. Not far from Thistle's burrow lived a young fox named Maple. Unlike other foxes, Maple preferred collecting pretty leaves and arranging flowers to chasing after other animals. She had built herself a lovely treehouse high up in a sturdy maple tree, where she would spend peaceful evenings watching the sunset paint the sky in gentle colors. One particularly lovely spring morning, as Thistle was gathering fresh mint leaves for his tea, he noticed something floating down from above. It was a delicate paper invitation, decorated with pressed flowers. The invitation was from Maple, asking if he would like to join her for an afternoon tea party in her treehouse. Thistle had never been invited to a fox's home before, and for a moment his nose twitched with uncertainty. But then he remembered seeing Maple in the meadow, how tenderly she picked flowers, and how softly she walked through the forest. His heart told him that sometimes the most wonderful friendships come from unexpected places. The next afternoon, Thistle put on his favorite soft blue scarf and carefully packed a basket with fresh baked carrot cake. He followed the winding path through the forest, where wildflowers nodded their sleepy heads in the warm breeze. The walk was peaceful, accompanied by the gentle songs of birds and the whisper of leaves overhead. When Thistle reached Maple's tree, he discovered she had created a special climbing path just for him. Wooden steps wrapped around the trunk like a spiral ribbon, with soft moss cushioning each step. As he climbed higher and higher, the forest seemed to cradle him in its gentle embrace. Maple was waiting at the top, her russet fur glowing warmly in the afternoon light. Her treehouse was even more wonderful than Thistle had imagined. Soft cushions were scattered everywhere, and strings of dried flowers hung from the ceiling. The windows were draped with delicate lace curtains that danced in the breeze, and the wooden floor was covered with colorful woven rugs. "Welcome, dear Thistle," Maple said softly, her eyes twinkling with kindness. "I'm so happy you came." She had prepared a lovely tea table with cups made from acorn caps, plates fashioned from broad leaves, and a teapot that steamed with the scent of wild berries and honey. Together, they shared the most wonderful afternoon. Maple poured the tea with graceful movements, while Thistle arranged slices of his carrot cake on the leaf plates. They talked about their favorite quiet spots in the forest, shared stories about the gentlest rainfall they'd ever felt, and watched clouds drift by through the treehouse windows. As the afternoon stretched on like honey dripping from a spoon, they discovered they had so much in common. Both loved collecting smooth pebbles from the stream. Both enjoyed watching the moon rise over the treetops, and both knew the best spots to find the softest moss for napping. When the shadows grew long and soft, Maple brought out blankets she had woven herself from cattail fluff and dandelion down. They wrapped themselves in the cloud-like blankets and watched as the first stars began to twinkle in the dusky sky. "Would you like to come again tomorrow?" Maple asked, her voice as gentle as falling leaves. "We could share more tea and watch the sunset together." Thistle's heart felt as warm as the tea they had shared. "I would love that very much," he replied, his whiskers twitching with joy. As Thistle made his way home that evening, the forest seemed different somehow, even more magical and peaceful than before. The path was illuminated by fireflies that danced like tiny stars, guiding him safely back to his burrow. That night, as Thistle snuggled into his bed of soft grass, he thought about his wonderful new friend. He realized that sometimes the most beautiful friendships bloom in unexpected gardens, and that kindness can bridge any difference. From that day forward, Thistle and Maple's treehouse tea parties became a cherished tradition. Each afternoon, they would share tea and treats, watch the clouds drift by, and enjoy the peaceful company of an unlikely but perfect friendship. Their gentle gatherings became known throughout the forest as a place where all creatures could come together, share warm drinks, and find the comfort of true friendship. And as the seasons gently turned, their treehouse became a sanctuary of peace and warmth, where the softest conversations and sweetest dreams were shared over cups of steaming tea. Each sunset they watched together reminded them that sometimes the most precious moments are found in the quiet company of a dear friend, wrapped in the warm embrace of acceptance. In a cozy bathroom cabinet on the softest shelf near the window lived a little toothbrush named Brushy Blue. Brushy Blue had gentle blue bristles that sparkled like morning dew, and a handle that curved just so, perfect for holding. Every evening, Brushy Blue would watch the golden sunlight filter through the frosted glass window, painting warm patterns on the cabinet walls. One peaceful morning, Brushy Blue's friend, a kind bar of soap named Sandy, shared exciting news. "Dear Brushy," Sandy whispered softly, "would you like to join me for a special trip to the beach tomorrow?" Brushy Blue had never been to the beach before, and while feeling a tiny flutter of nervousness, the thought of seeing something new filled Brushy with gentle curiosity. That night, Brushy Blue dreamed of what the beach might be like, imagining soft sounds and warm breezes. In the dream, clouds floated by like fluffy cotton balls in a perfectly blue sky, and gentle waves whispered stories of faraway places. When morning came, Sandy wrapped Brushy Blue in a soft, clean washcloth for the journey. Together, they traveled in a wicker basket carried by their friend Sarah, who always took such good care of them. The morning air was fresh and sweet, carrying the scent of flowers and grass. As they got closer to the beach, Brushy Blue noticed the air changing, becoming slightly salty and warm. The sound of waves grew louder, but not in a startling way. It was more like a gentle lullaby that seemed to say, "Welcome, welcome," over and over again. When Sarah finally set down the basket, Brushy Blue peeked out from the washcloth and saw the most wonderful sight. The sand stretched out like a soft, golden blanket, sparkling in the morning sun. The ocean was a beautiful mix of blues and greens, with tiny waves that rolled in and out in a peaceful rhythm. "It's so beautiful," Brushy Blue whispered to Sandy. "The sand looks like it goes on forever." Sandy smiled knowingly, having visited the beach many times before. "Would you like to feel the warm sand?" Sandy asked gently. Brushy Blue nodded, and Sarah carefully placed both friends on a clean beach towel. The sand was even softer than Brushy Blue had imagined. It was warm from the sun, but not too hot, and it felt like being wrapped in the coziest blanket. Tiny grains would sometimes drift by on the breeze, dancing in the air before settling back down to join their friends. As the morning went on, Brushy Blue watched seabirds gliding peacefully overhead. They moved so smoothly, barely needing to flap their wings as they floated on invisible air currents. Their soft calls mixed with the sound of the waves, creating a peaceful melody. A little hermit crab slowly walked by, carrying its shell home on its back. "Hello," it said quietly, giving a gentle wave with its small claw. "Welcome to our beach. Would you like to hear the ocean's song?" The crab showed Brushy Blue how to listen carefully to the waves, each one making a different but equally soothing sound. Brushy Blue and Sandy spent the morning watching small fish jumping in the distance, their silver scales catching the sunlight like tiny mirrors. Seashells of all shapes and sizes dotted the sand around them, each one unique and beautiful in its own way. As the sun climbed higher, a cool breeze began to blow, carrying the scent of salt and seaweed. It ruffled Brushy's bristles ever so gently, like a soft pat from a friend. Sandy showed Brushy how to watch the clouds drift by, pointing out shapes that looked like cotton candy and floating pillows. When lunchtime came, Sarah spread out a picnic blanket near them. The sound of sandwiches being unwrapped and fruit being shared mixed with the waves' gentle rhythm. Brushy Blue felt so peaceful, so at home here by the ocean. As the afternoon grew warmer, Brushy Blue and Sandy rested in the shade of a colorful beach umbrella. They watched small sand crabs making tiny bubbles as they dug their homes, and seagulls taking peaceful afternoon naps on the warm sand. The day began to slowly wind down, and the sun started its gentle descent toward the horizon. The sky turned soft shades of pink and orange, like a watercolor painting being created right before their eyes. The waves continued their calming song, now slower and more peaceful than before. "Thank you for bringing me here," Brushy Blue whispered to Sandy, feeling grateful for such a wonderful friend. Sandy smiled warmly. Sometimes the best adventures are the peaceful ones we share with friends. As Sarah packed up their things, Brushy Blue took one last look at the beach. The setting sun painted long, soft shadows across the sand, and the evening breeze carried the promise of sweet dreams to come. Back in the basket, wrapped once again in the soft washcloth, Brushy Blue felt tired but happy. That night, back in the cozy bathroom cabinet, Brushy Blue drifted off to sleep, thinking about the peaceful day at the beach. The memory of gentle waves and warm sand made Brushy's bristles feel heavy with contentment. And as sleep came closer, Brushy Blue could still hear the ocean's lullaby, singing softly in the distance. Good night,